Welcome in. Welcome in. Let me make sure I'm sitting good, sitting tight. Welcome into the Boom Bust Dynasty show. Tonight, what is it? Monday, 7:30 Central Time. We have got currently, making sure I can pull the chat up here. We currently have a trade queue of 17 trades in the queue. We've got team reviews queued up to talk through tonight. If you are looking to get your trade questions answered, your dynasty questions answered, your team looked at, check it out right up here. The friendly exchange was at the Heart Meet. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for sending the Heart Meet in. If you are looking to get your questions answered, it's right up here. If you are looking to get your team reviewed in deep depth, deep dive with trade recommendations specific to your team, specific to your league and the actual rosters in your league, we think it's some of the best in the business. Check it out right up here on your screen. Danielson, cannot wait for this one. How are you doing, Colton? Thank you for popping in on the YouTube. Let's get the first one going. Let's get the first one going. Let's get the first one going. Should we get the first one going? I think we get the first one going. I'm going to click on it. Hopefully there's no issues with the browser overlay. We've got the first trade coming in. Here it is. First trade coming in from Fine Five in Talking Ball Dynasty. We're just talking about balls. That's way dirtier than I thought. That's way dirtier than I thought. We're just talking ball, talking singular ball, football. 10 team, 2 quarterbacks, start 11, PPR, Dynasty League. There's no tight end premium. There's no tight end involved. What are we doing with this deal? On one side, we got Devon Achane. On the other side, we got T. Higgins. The trade comes in from Fine Five, who has... Which side of this deal are they? They're the Chase Brown side. Can we send Chase Brown, Rashee Rice, and the 306 on YouTube and on Twitch? You can see the roster of Fine Five. Are we sending Chase Brown, Rashee Rice, and the 306 for Devon Achane and T. Higgins? In my eyes, I've been saying, hey, a lot of selling Rashee Rice has been selling low. What we got there? Was that a follow coming through? I think so. I just heard the noise. I'm hearing something. Oh, just the Go Populars and the Go Populars from the friendly exchange. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm wrong audio cue. On this deal, are we sending Chase Brown, Rashee Rice, and the 306 in deals involving Chase Brown? I do worry that we're selling low. I don't know that we're selling low here. I think we're selling decently high on Chase Brown. How do we break this one down? Let me know what you guys think in the comments on TikTok, on YouTube, and on Twitch. But the way I see this one, even if we took this and said, would you give Devon Achane for Rashee Rice? No, most people won't. But take a look at it. Like, just cross those guys off. We wouldn't do that, but then look at the rest of the trade. Would you trade Chase Brown in the 306 for T. Higgins? It's pretty close. It's pretty close. So if we're not doing, like, if it's pretty close there and Devon Achane heavily clears the other part of that deal, it's the Achane side for me. It's not really close on this one. We got that trade booked. Back it up, bag it up. I've hit submit on the review. It's gone through on the site. They will be able to check that out. Let's jump to the next one. Let's jump to the next one. The friendly exchange says trade advice and another fire shirt. It's flamingos for summertime. Thank you. Okay, we got a big boy trade from La Royce in the Dynasty. It's a 12-team, 1 quarterback. Start 9, half-point PPR, no tight end premium. It's big. It's big. We got more. Daddy Danny D's Nuts. Thank you, Daddy Danny D's Nuts, for the heart meat. Thank you, Daddy Danny. Here we got La Royce and Dada Dynasty on one side of this deal. It's a big one. It starts to cover up my face. Judkins, Concepcion, Nick Singleton, and a 2028 second. Okay. Or Travis Kelce, who has real production value. Travis Etienne or HN. Daddy Danny D's Nuts, thank you for the heart me's. Travis Kelce, Travis Etienne, AJ Brown, Brandon Ayuk, DeAndre Swift. How do we start to sort this one? Because we're getting a big piece. The biggest piece is on the Judkins side. And then the second biggest piece is starting to get into like AJ Brown, Casey Concepcion range. Papa Sauce is not even close to an even trade. Papa Sauce, this is people asking for advice. Which side of it do you like? Give your advice, Papa Sauce. If you've got the sauce, you let me know. This trade comes in from the person sending HN. Am I sending Travis HN, AJ Brown, Brandon Ayuk, DeAndre Swift for the rest of this? I mean, a 2028 early second is very similar to DeAndre Swift. We can start to cross stuff off. Personally, I don't care about Singleton or Ayuk. We could start to just knock that off and call that pretty close to even. You definitely take the HN side. And then we're looking at what Travis Etienne, AJ Brown, for Casey Concepcion, Quinshon Judkins. Like, we're starting to get, if we're looking at just those things, like, I like the Judkins Concepcion side part of there. I'd like Travis Kelce for a tight end league. Let's look at the roster. Like, do we need Travis Kelce for this team? I'm going to say for this roster, and Papa Sauce, you're on the TikTok feed. On the TikTok feed, just looking at the screen of your phone, there's not enough space to put this, but on Twitch and on YouTube, we put the roster of the person who asked the question on here. So you can see their roster. Like, should they move Travis Kelce? I feel like they've got Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce. I don't know that this is a deal I'm really that excited to do. What does this accomplish for us? It lets us move on from Brandon Ayuk. Maybe we want to get rid of Travis Kelce. Looking at the rest of their team in a one quarterback league, like, they don't need a quarterback. They don't really need running backs. Judkins is a better running back, but the team doesn't absolutely need running backs. They have wide receivers. This team can probably contend. Do they get better by consolidating things? I don't know that they really even get better for this year consolidating things. And I don't know that we need to rebuild. I don't know that I would do. I'd say I'm not looking to move these things. I have Travis Etienne, I have AJ Brown. I think I'm riding with them for this year, or I'm making a different deal. That's where I'm going. What do we get? Greasy K sent a gold coin for 10 jewels on YouTube. Thank you very much, Greasy K. Thank you, Greasy K. We appreciate you for being here. We appreciate you being here. We do have a team review here for Drew from the Toxic League. Maybe we'll give a moment until we see that a Drew is here. Otherwise, we'll get to the team review pretty shortly. I like to give people a chance to get in on the live before we just get into it. Otherwise, we'll go there and it'll get sent out to them, and they'll have the replay. Let's go with Meaners in Dynasty. That's the name of their league. It's not just in Dynasty. In this league, are we sending Ashton Genty for what is projected to be the early 27 first? Ryan Phillips, let me read that before we'll come back to this one. Ryan Phillips said, "Glad I switched. This is a much better layout." I will mention we do have up on your screen, if you're on the TikTok feed, you can read the words here on widescreen platforms. Like, we do just, there's just not enough room on your phone screen to show all of the information that I'm looking at. But give it a thought. It's the same name across different things. On YouTube, we are Boom Bust Fantasy. On Twitch, it is Boom Bust Jack. Give it, it's just a thought for you. Here we go for Meaners in a 12-team Superflex start 9. The note here says, my team's bad, almost 110 getting the 101 for Jeremiah Smith, but a top contender in my league offered me Genty for my first straight up. Like, is your team okay? Probably not. I'm taking a look at it. You got Mendoza, Cam Ward. That's pretty weak at quarterback in a Superflex. Running backs, no one. Marks, Gordon, Brian Robinson. Wide receivers, Tate, and then it goes to Jalen Coker. Brock Bowers is the only tight end on this team. Would I move my own first? Like, moving your own first for Genty, it's definitely, I guess I am. I'm just moving one first round pick and I'm getting Genty, even though I'm pretty sure it's going to be the #1 overall pick. If I'm driving my team and saying I'm getting the #1 overall, I don't know that I'm moving it. I don't know that I'm moving it. I have a league where I'm in contention to be the worst team. I don't know that I'm moving my own pick. They're shooting high on it. There are times where I will do this if I think a different team is going to be horrible. I'm in a league where I traded for someone's first. They think their team is going to be pretty bad. They offered me a great deal for their first back. I think they have a pretty solid team. They're going to tear it down based on if they got their first back. So I sent them their 127 first and Luther Burden, and I got back JSN. They are now going to take that thing and turn it into the first. I don't know that that's the same situation as here. If you think your asset is going, by the time you want to use it, your 27 first is going to be worth more than Ashton Genty at that time, then I think I'm just going to stick with the first. I think I'm just going to stick with the first. If you think you're going to get something better, and the way to get to having it be a first, like if you trade it away right now, you bring in Genty, unless you're then flipping it back to get more future firsts and trying to pick and choose which teams are also going to miss the playoffs to come out with more value than your own. But even in that situation, if you steer the ship and you're the team leading where that first round pick goes, and you bring it to 101, you can then just trade it for the things that you could do with Genty in a year, and it'll be the same thing for your rebuilding team. That's how I would see that one. Let's go with this one from Colts in Zappers 2.0. Already accepted it. Part of me has buyer's remorse, maybe because I wanted to see what things looked like with Cook since I recently traded for him. Hopefully I didn't screw this up. So you traded away James Cook. Let's see, you brought in Justin Jefferson. Cook, Waddle, Pearsall, Barner are gone. Would I move? Let's just break this down because I think we paid a lot. I think we paid a lot to bring in Justin Jefferson on this one. So on one side, we got Justin Jefferson. I see your note on the YouTube. We'll take a look at it. On one side, we got Justin Jefferson and a 2027 second. We sent away James Cook, Jalen Waddle, Ricky Pearsall, AJ Barner in a 12-team, one quarterback, 6-point passing touchdown, start 9. I mean, the most valuable piece here is just Justin Jefferson. And if we figure that Jefferson bounces back, is this a decent deal? Maybe. Like, can we find one for ones that we cross off? Like a 2027 second for Ricky Pearsall? I don't even think that's necessarily fair, but even if we just start to cross that off and then say James Cook and Jalen Waddle and AJ Barner for Justin Jefferson, we're paying up quite a bit. If we look at your team, you got Bijan, Gibbs, Trevion Henderson, Monungai. Like this is a roster where we want to be doing some up tiers. Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray as your quarterbacks in a 1 QB. We're good at quarterback. Bijan, Gibbs, Henderson, Monungai. We're okay at running back. Like moving up from Jahmyr Gibbs is not going to crush us. Jefferson, Lamb, Marv, Zay at wide receiver. And if we only need to start 9 and we're looking at Dak, Bijan, Gibbs, Henderson, Monungai probably getting some time in there. That's got 5 starters laid out. And then Jefferson, Lamb, Brock Bowers, and Marvin Harrison or Zay Flowers is the 9th guy. I don't hate your team as it is. You've also got Ramondre Stevenson on there, Jonathan Brooks. There are times where you just have to put stuff into your starting lineup to go for it in your league. So in a vacuum, you paid quite a bit, but I don't think it's the worst. Could you have maybe gotten a better deal if you shopped around a lot more? Yes, I will say that. But is it horrible? No. But is it a pay up to up tier? Yeah. Let's take a look at some of the questions in the chat. We'll clear this one off the screen. We'll come to SK06 in a minute. SK, James Cook discovered the Hawaiian Islands. Did he? Is that the name of the explorer, James Cook, who discovered the Hawaiian Islands? I wouldn't surprise me. John Hellstad says, Thought Man, Brock Bowers and Penix for early mid 27 first and Genty. Oh, we take all of our trade questions through our site, John. Nick, Nick, you with a trade question. Drew, how do you feel about Tyler Shuck as being a QB2 in Superflex? I feel like he has some real potential. I think Tyler Shuck is just volatile. He could be good, but it's not going to surprise me if Tyler Shuck is the next Michael Penix. Last offseason, people liked Michael Penix. They were saying, man, at the end of the year, he came in. I don't know why they started Kirk Cousins so long. Penix came in and was great. And then the next year, a year later, no one's really excited about Penix because he's injured, but he wasn't that good. Could I see, I'm thinking of this as a video concept. Let me know. I'm thinking of a video concept of the 2027 draft class we think really highly of. We think it's going to be a really good draft class. Jeremiah Smith is there, but then it's a lot of quarterbacks. And if a lot of teams are drafting quarterbacks, I think it's helpful right now to look at your team and say, is the quarterback for the Dolphins going to be the same next year? Is the quarterback for the Saints going to be the same next year? Is the quarterbacks for the Vikings going to be the same next year? If we're bringing in a lot of quarterbacks in the 2027 draft class, someone's got to lose their job. Are they on your dynasty team? That's what I think. I think Tyler Shuck would be in that video. I don't know that he's going to lose his job. He could definitely play his way into keeping his job. But there are plenty of times where a team has an opportunity to draft a good quarterback and you just have to. Even if the guy you have is okay, the price to performance that you get for drafting a quarterback early is just that much better. It was a big discussion when the Bears drafted Caleb Williams. Should they draft him or should they trade this pick back and then build around Justin Fields? And the reality is just the value of getting a quarterback and resetting with a first round pick to get a quarterback on a rookie contract just is really good. Does that happen to Tyler Shuck? It wouldn't surprise me. It's not something that I'm building into every single trade that I make. Like it is also likely that he's good and just earns a starting job for years. But we have to be open to the wide range of outcomes on Tyler Shuck. So that's how I feel about him. Typically with him, what that ends up translating to in trades involving me is I'll just trade him away. If I'm in a league and someone in my league believes in him, his price right now, if we look at, well, how high could his value go? The comparison I give is Brock Purdy. Jason Smith says Shuck stinks. I think that's a terrible way to think about fantasy. Just saying one guy stinks doesn't build in, he could be good, he could be bad. I want to trade based on the idea of what is a realistic range of outcomes. And if there are enough people in my league and there's someone willing to pay me near the top end of what his value could ever be, I'll just take that. So that's often what I end up going with. POA says, finally cooled off, shift over, gym session crush, ready to chill in the stream. Thank you for being here. How are you feeling about your team in our startup? We could pull it up. We've got a dynasty startup going on right now. Let's do a trade and then I'll pull up our dynasty startup and we'll take a look at some of the players on there and see where we're feeling. Let's go with this one here. We pulled it up before and then took it down and then brought it back up. I saw one from Jordan in the YouTube. How are you doing, Jordan? 12 team, 1 quarterback, start 8. So it's a bit of a shallower league. A lot of the value that would go to 2 quarterbacks in a dynasty league is now just consolidated into 1. Jason Smith says, give me the picks easy. I haven't even read it yet. We'll take a look. I do like the engagement, Jason. Thank you for putting in your thoughts on this one. Where are we going? Cooper Kupp, Mason Taylor, kind of just throw those guys out of this deal. If it's a deal involving 2 firsts, a second, and a third. How much does Mason Taylor, like, where does that really line up with Mason Taylor and Cooper Kupp? Not much. Maybe similar to Ayuk. It's all kind of stuff that we start to take out. Would I take 2 firsts for Concepcion and Sadiq? A 27, they say it's an early first, and a 28 early first. If I really think it's an early first, okay. This is how I would break this down. POA ammo. 2 first-round rookies for 2 future firsts. And I'm tempted to say, guys, Concepcion's a good prospect. We don't exactly love where he went, but we're very often wrong about that. People didn't like where Ibuka went last year. And then he was performing well. That could definitely happen with Concepcion. That could definitely happen with Sadiq. And you get it right now. So I will say there's value there. It's not as crazy lopsided as it might feel. POA, I would take the future in SF, but actual rookies in 1 quarterback. Let's see, this league has Concepcion. They have Sadiq. In this trade, they're moving Brandon Ayuk. Here's what I'd say. I don't love the deal. I don't love the deal just based on some of the rules of trading that I try to go with. Looking at the roster here, you can check out the roster on the widescreen formats. It's the same channel name on YouTube. On Twitch, it's Boom Bust Jack. I don't know that this team is contending. In a 1 quarterback league, they do have Kyler and JJ, and maybe Kyler performs for them. Hampton Kyron is all right as their running backs, but at wide receiver, it's really lacking. And wide receiver would hold this team back. Ibuka, Concepcion, and then after that, it's Coker, Trey Harris, Rashid Shaheed. If we have to get to 8 starters, we're going to be starting some ugly situations here. What I will add on the note of this trade, I like the concept of throwing Ayuk in there and trying to get paid out on Ayuk. I'm probably trying to build something else of a deal here. And I think this is a spot where we can pivot. So I'm going to say hold on Concepcion and Sadiq, getting Cooper Kupp back, getting Mason Taylor back. I don't want them back in a rebuild. And if you have the best assets in the trade, you do get to say, like, I'm not taking your garbage. Cooper Kupp is retiring soon. You can take that value loss. I'm the one selling the highest thought of pieces. And it is Concepcion and Sadiq. There's no tight end premium, but these guys are pick 6 or 7, 8 probably pick 6 and 7 in a 1 quarterback league. And they're highly thought of prospects. They're not junk prospects, more like a Jonah Coleman that we're hyping up just kind of based on, well, that's what was left at 112, 211 in a 12-team league. So I would say I'm probably hanging on to these things and seeing if I can do a little bit more. Can I move Shaheed for any sort of value? Like, Shaheed is going to have production this year. If I'm moving Concepcion, I don't want to bring back Cooper Kupp. I want to be the one sending away Shaheed, sending Ayuk. Maybe I would do this thing. And the problem is, if I say, yes, do this, I don't think this person's ever going to move on from Rashid Shaheed, and then that value just kind of goes away. So I think we could do a bit more. I think you can accomplish more is really where I'm feeling. The value may be generally close, but I think you could accomplish more with this type of deal. And let's take a look at that, because we put out a video on YouTube today showing this. We've got our tool for doing the idea of this. Got it here. This is not what should be showing. Amazed he got those picks offered. I think that's kind of wild. Like, would I trade Casey Concepcion for a 28 first, or would I trade Kenyon Sadiq for a 28 first? No. You're going to get the same thing. You're going to get the same stuff. You'll get to a mid 28 first, and we'll be hoping that they perform. But Kenyon Sadiq is a really highly thought of tight end prospect that's now just getting hated because he's on the Jets. I don't know that I feel that strongly. Let's see if I can fix this. I can. Here we go. This should work. Here's what we have. We launched this in the last week. It's our trade builder. So if you have a league like this where you need to move on from Brandon Ayuk, who else was on that roster they need to move on from? Ayuk was on there, Rashid Shaheed. We've got this. You sync your league, your sleeper username on our site, boombustfantasy.com, and then you can build trades. So like in this league, I've got, let's try to find the same kind of concept. Like I've got Jackson Dart, a player people want. And the equivalent that we were just looking at was like Kenyon Sadiq. He's a good prospect. Casey Concepcion. He's a good prospect. You can then take someone like in this league, for example, I have Chris Godwin. Last couple of years of his career, you can click on those players. So I've clicked on Jackson Dart and Chris Godwin, and it has gone through my league, looked at the actual rosters in my league, and built out trade packages. If you were moving Dart and Godwin, a fair value trade is Devon Achane, Hampton, Loveland, Patrick Mahomes, or those are the 2-for-1s in a 2-for-2 deal. Goff and Zay Flowers. You're not getting a prospect as highly thought of as Jackson Dart, but you're getting paid out on something that's harder to move. I think it's one of the best things you can do in Dynasty is understand that a player can be harder to move and then pair them with someone better and come away with 2 more movable assets. So with the trade that we were just looking at, I'd say find ways to pair Sadiq or other assets on your team that are easy to move with Ayuk, with Rashid Shaheed, and continue to loop through that and look at every player on your roster and say, I'm not starting this guy when my team is contending, so I should be using them to take this value that's just going to fade away and retire on my team or go to 0 on my roster and turn it into value that I can keep or trade to someone else more easily. If your team is in a deep rebuild, like you can get the picks for Sadiq and for Concepcion, but you should be able to get more than just 1 first for each of those guys. And moving Ayuk for Cooper Kupp and the other junk player that was on that trade is not what you want to move them for. Even just moving them for like a third isn't quite what you want to be doing in those deals. So with the trade that we looked at, I said, hey, not quite what I want to do because it doesn't accomplish the things that I'm trying to do if I'm moving a first-round pick from this year, like a good first-round pick. Like, do I want Mason Taylor coming back? No. I might personally be wrong about Mason Taylor, but that's not who I want coming back. And if you're moving some of the best players in the deal, you do get to say, you have to buy this junk. Jason Smith saying not all firsts are equal. Not all firsts are bad because the draft class around them is bad, is what I would say to that. Concepcion and Sadiq were highly thought of prospects, and they can still perform. Bad players going to good teams sometimes become the reason the team gets better. I don't know that it will happen, but I'm not looking to just dump all over these guys. So I wouldn't trade a third for Ayuk. I might trade a third for Ayuk. That's not quite where we're looking at on that one. Let's make sure I've got, let's see. If I just want for the future, if I press this, it shows that. So I can do this. I just need to move browser windows around to run the overlays. Let's do a trade and then, yeah, here's an easy trade. Let's do a trade that we can talk through this one. And then we've got a team review in the queue and we'll jump to that one. Oh, a pinned comment. No, we saw that one about trading a third for Ayuk. I mean, those are even-ish values. In this deal, let me know which side of this one you guys want. Are you moving Devon Achane for Ashton Genty? Here's the way that I look at these. Someone asked the question, so we're going to give them the answer. Jason Smith says Genty. Friendly Exchange says same. Here's how I look at this. We've got the chat taking their side. And with any question like this, I'm just going to press the wrong button. I'm just going to answer it the best way I can. Someone wants to know it. We're not going to shut down the question because we think it is or isn't good enough. Here's where I look at for trades of 1-for-1. I go to this site here and I look at, now this league, this question comes to us in a 10-team, 1 quarterback start 8, where Achane did outperform Genty last year. One thing I do consider is I just pull up what I'm looking at here is real Dynasty startup ADP, real people drafting. Who are they taking first? And if we have 1-for-1 trade, especially in a spot where it's the same position, we can just search. Achane is going right here, pick 21. Ashton Genty is going right here, pick 14. With any trade that I'm looking at, until we're in season, I'm going to assume any trade I make is not my last trade. So if I'm moving Devon Achane for Genty, I'm just moving up in value. The market as an aggregate here, the sample is 604 startup drafts. They're taking Genty multiple spots ahead. So that is where I would be going, because in the next trade, Genty is probably going to get you more in a trade. And we're almost into July. We've still got 2 months before football is starting. So I would be taking that into consideration of where I can go with my next deals. Do I know that Genty is going to outperform Achane? No. And when we get to September, the way we evaluate trades will change. But you should still be making trades in July and in August. And if you trade for Ashton Genty, you could trade for more than you could with Achane. Let's go with a team review. I just saw a question from where was that? Jason Smith said people are worried on the Miami offense, so he's harder to sell. And that's true as well. That's true as well. Nick Hughes, how do I do a team review? We haven't done the demo here. Oh, let's we cleared that trade up. Let's go with the demo. Just a moment. We'll click on that. That should fix the widescreen feeds. Okay. Pinned comment, how do I do a team review? Nick Hughes is asking. Here we go. This is our website, boombustfantasy.com. That's what you're watching on TikTok. It's what you're watching on YouTube. On Twitch, it's boombustjack, because we also do our gaming stuff from one Twitch page. Here's what you do. Here's our website. Here's the landing page. You just click get started. Right now, any new account gets granted free trade question credits. You can click get started. It's as easy to get set up as I'm using Google Chrome here. I'm logged in with my Gmail. You can hit continue with Google and the account is created. It was one click. You type in your sleeper username. Mine is my name. Please feel free to steal my identity. It then goes to Sleeper, checks their API. If you don't know what an API is, it's just a programming thing. It goes to sleeper.com and it finds every league you're in. And then it shows them. And you pick which league you want to look at first, because we have pages for building trades within your league. We have a page that shows you all the rosters in your league and the value breakdowns. Let's go with one of our Boom Bust leagues, Boom Bust 2, where I don't have a great team. It pulls up my team here. It says I'm going to score about 7.4% of the points this year with the lineup that I have. That's not very good. I can look at my entire league. I can build trades within my league. If you want to know where to get your team reviewed, when you have a league selected, you can also change it up here in the top right and pick any of the leagues that you're in. You go to team advice and hit request team review. That'll get you added into our queue. I think these are a premium product and they are not free. So when you set that up, you can, here on my screen, it says 0 team review credits remaining. You can click that and it will take you to the spot to get that handled. That is also just on your account profile page right here in the top right. That is how you get that set up. It'll add you into our review queue, our queue of reviews, our team review queue. We've got one here from Drew, which just so happened to rhyme. I did not plan that out because I can't change the word review. I can't change the word Q. And it did get us to this review from Drew. We'll put it up on your screen. I've got about 1 million browsers up, so let's make sure I find it. If I open this, are we on the thing? No. I just need to make sure that we have the right. Let's put it on the widescreen, then I'll find where we go to get this. I have a lot of browsers and I share them all on different views. What was it showing? It was showing this. So I can take this, go here, go there, and let's write down the timestamp for Drew's review. We'll start at 37:10. Here is what we take a look at. How's it going, Dewey? With Drew, who submitted his team for review on our site, boombustfantasy.com. What we're going to do is we'll look at each position and picks on his team, and we're just going to break down a rating for them, 0 through 4 stars. How do we feel about this team? Both in terms of this rating will combine how tradable, how much value do they have at each position, and what production are they going to get from each position. Matt Stafford doesn't have a ton of trade value, but he's probably, or thinking, going to give us pretty good production. Someone like Jaden Daniels, who we're looking at here, we're expecting production and trade value. So we'll try to come up with a 4-star rating, 0 through 4 across each position, as well as future picks. And then we're going to give the team an outlook for the next couple of years. We think you'll be rebuilding this year and then contending next year, or contending this year and then probably going to need to retool because of the veterans on your team. We'll take a look at this team and we'll come up with a 3-year outlook. And then we'll build some trade ideas on the stream right here. But afterwards on the stream, or once we're off the stream, I'll put together more concrete trade reviews for Drew, and he'll get an email linking to a page on our site with all of those trades, why we like those trades in his league. And they're going to be real trades based on the different rosters in his league. So let's start with the team here. And Jigba's in Paris. We're going to go with the quarterbacks. Now, this is a 12-team Superflex, start 10, full point per reception, no tight end premium in this league. So we'll look at that when we get to the tight end. But in terms of quarterbacks, we've got Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels. If we're going 0 through 4, this is a 4. This is up there with some of the best quarterbacks in Dynasty right now. If you're taking these guys are both first-round picks. I'm in the middle of a startup. I think we said we would pull that up eventually. We'll pull that up right eventually. These are both first-round picks. They're back end of the first round, 1-2 turn in a Dynasty startup, but these are top 5 Dynasty quarterback assets. They both have produced, and they both could be traded for a lot. So we're feeling really good with what we have at quarterback for Drew. At running backs, we've got James Cook, Quinshon Judkins, and then it falls off. Blake Corum could have a decent role in LA. He was getting some touchdowns at the end of the year, but he wasn't really ever getting above 40% of the workload. Would it surprise us if he got to 50? It wouldn't surprise me, but I don't know that he's going to. I don't know that I'm personally predicting it, but I've been a little bit wrong on Blake Corum in the past. And then we've got Jonathan Brooks, really good breakout candidate. 2 major knee injuries. And one thing I'll call out with Jonathan Brooks is we've seen players tear their ACL twice and then go on to have good careers. Frank Gore tore his ACL twice while being very young. Does that mean Jonathan Brooks will become the next Frank Gore? No, tearing your ACL doesn't make you into a superhuman, but the hate has gone a bit far on someone like Brooks. I think it's starting to come back, and as we get into July and August, and we get into the preseason, we'll have a better gauge of where he's at for next year. But he's a nice piece to hold here. So if we're looking at this team, the 1-2 punch is really solid. I mean, I can't knock this down to like a 2. I'm probably going to say at running backs, you've got a really, like a weak 3. It's definitely not a 4 on rating. You've got really good production from these guys. Tradability both in James Cook and Quinshon Judkins, as well as a little bit in Blake Corum and some upside in Jonathan Brooks. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything of note down here. Not really. Chris Rodriguez could be someone who starts for you at times this year. But it's just these top two that are really carrying this rating, and then some other options who might end up starting for you at flex at times this year. But you got the value that you're getting in James Cook is for tradability as well as production is really solid. Wide receivers, Njigba, London, McConkey, Jordan Addison, Metcalf, McLaurin. This is really solid. This is really solid. Stephon Diggs, who hasn't signed anywhere. Calvin Ridley, as your sixth, I'm guessing on how many names I've set out. I mean, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th guy? Like, maybe he starts for you a week. Like, that's good depth. You could survive an injury and get Calvin Ridley out there producing a little bit during the year. This is 4. Really, really strong 3 or a 4. Sometimes with a 4, we're looking for like JSN and Puka and then guys behind that. But JSN, London, McConkey, I'm just going to call it like, my gut is saying that's a really, really good 3. Jay, iconic, what's the queue for a review? It's just this one. We've got this one currently. Last I've checked, this was the only one in there, unless some have come through literally while we were doing this one, Jay. And then tight ends, Colson Loveland, and no one really behind it. Gunnar Helm. I mean, this is still going to be, I think I just got to pencil that in as a 4. Now we can take a look at, and you can check this out on the site as well, on the My League page. I'm just looking at the My League page that any of you guys would be able to see if you synced your team. So you could see the same chart. We've got Njigba's at Paris. What we have here is 2 different sets of charts. We've got the lineup power, which is based on projected scoring, projected fantasy points. We have just projections of, hey, we think this quarterback's going to throw for this many yards and this many touchdowns, and that turns into this many fantasy points with the scoring in your league. So if we're looking at just projected scoring, it's a top 2 team in the league. Really strong, really strong. In terms of dynasty value, for future value, also really strong. We didn't go into the picks, but we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 future firsts with this team on top. So we're 4 on picks. If we're looking at an outlook for this team, you're contending for a long time. And even if things go wrong, let's say Ladd McConkey has a Jordan Addison year and just stinks, or a worse Ladd McConkey year, you could just go buy a different guy. You could just go trade, maybe using the term buy players, a little taboo. You could just go trade for a different guy. This team with this lineup set to contend. There's no third quarterback. I don't care. I don't know that I care. Here's the thing about having 2 great quarterbacks and a team this strong is, unless you are hit by multiple injuries, you're making the playoffs. We're getting into the playoffs. With a team like this, we're worried about, are we getting a bye week when we get into the playoffs, or are we just getting in and then we have to survive through it? So even if we're looking at, well, Caleb has to have a bye, Jaden Daniels has to have a bye, you just start someone else. You just start someone else in that slot. I don't need you to have a third quarterback. If you wanted to go get one, you could trade a first to go get one. I think a good upside piece would be someone like CJ Stroud. I just threw my pencil. I think a decent upside, if you're sending away 1 first-round pick, especially if you are sending like a late projected first, is CJ Stroud. If you're looking at other players you can get for a 1 first-round pick at quarterback, there's a ton of options. If you wanted to go get Dak Prescott and just have a stud third quarterback who's going to give you top 10 production throughout the season, that's the type of level this team is at, where you have so much value. So I personally wouldn't go get Dak. I might try to get a cheaper option for someone that we're going to start 2 weeks throughout the season. So that would be someone like, who's a quarterback that is a cheaper, Sam Darnold, you could probably get without having to move a first round pick. You could move a couple seconds in 2027, potentially, depending on that roster. Scoop says, throwing your pencil so angry today. Maybe. Someone like a Sam Darnold would fit for here, or another quarterback who, even if you went and got I don't know that I would go get Malik Willis, or really even Jacoby Brissett for a team like this with a third quarterback that we could bring in. I want to know that they're starting year round. So I'd say Stroud fits that bill more than someone like Jacoby Brissett, who we could just see get benched. A new coaching staff is coming in. Jacoby Brissett is likely to get replaced in the 2027 draft class. The team might just say, well, let's look at what we have in Carson Beck. We're not winning. So I'd look at things like that when you're looking for a third quarterback, if you decide to get one at all. With these 2027 draft picks, I don't know that we need to wait to use them. And at any point, if like here, round one, the retirement home, here's something I've done. I mean, this guy has Sam Darnold. They have Bryce Young, two actual quarterbacks that I think are probably starting the whole year and are good third QB options. And this guy would move for 2027 seconds. There's a team that is unlikely to compete this year. If we're just looking at, here's what we think will happen this year, fantasy scoring projections, they're the lowest rated team on the board. Now, I will always give the disclaimer, fantasy football's fun because we don't know what's going to happen. This stuff will change. This is just projections right now. You've known it in redraft. We think we know what will happen, and then everything changes up. We think you're going to contend this year, and we think the retirement home is not going to contend this year. So we could bring in someone like Travis Kelce just to get extra production when Colston Loveland is gone, or maybe Colston Loveland doesn't break out in the way we think. Travis Kelce's been a top 5 tight end for the last decade, including last year. So I would take a look at something like that. And these are really good third quarterback options, and I would try to see if you could get them for 2 seconds of the future seconds that you have. Going back to your team, other things that I might look to do with your second round picks is just, can you trade second round picks with Big Owns with the follow on Twitch? Thank you. Can you trade your second round picks with someone like Terry McLaurin to just get younger? I'll take a look at your league and I'll come up with some other trade ideas. I'm going to write down third QB, Terry at a second is something I personally would explore. He's not a key piece for you. We like him. I think he'll produce this year, but for the team that you have, if you're with Terry McLaurin, I'm looking at next year. We have a ton of guys here. He might be a big piece for us, but if I can move him in a second and just get younger, I'd be open to doing that because he's not really something that we're looking at here. Other things I might consider, if I can move a second in Jordan Addison, a first in Jordan Addison, a first in Ladd McConkey, probably more likely McConkey, or a first in Drake London to move way up and tier up, I would take a look at doing something like that. With the team that you have here, you don't have to wait to make these first round picks, especially if you're selling your own right now when we're in the offseason and people might not be looking at projections and thinking you're a top team. If you can sell your pick as though it's not a projected late first and bring that value into your lineup right now, I would take a look at doing something like that. So we'll put together trades involving those. Those are the types of things I'm going to be looking for. And then tomorrow I'll go through and build out, I don't know, 5 to 10 trade ideas of what I would actually send out with a team like this. But you're contending for a long time with this deal. It would take you, looking back at players that got injured last year, like Joe Burrow, Malik Neighbors, it would need to be like that level of year for your team. So I'd say you're good to go for a while. We'll get that follow up with actual more concrete trades sent out to you. It'll exist as a page on our website. Here, I'll show you how that will look. It'll show up under the My Advice tab. Now I get to see all of the ones that I've finished. Like here's an example. It'll show up. Oh, I'll go through and I'll fix that. I don't know why that has a weird background. We'll fix that, but here's a snapshot of your team. Here's some rules and marching orders that you'll get, as well as real trade examples. I think I put up somewhere between 8 and 10, maybe 8 or so trade examples on here based on your league. So we'll get that out to you. That'll go out tomorrow because I'm live right now. Thank you very much for that one, Drew. Thank you very much for that one. I saw a pinned comment Like Evan, I submitted a team review a week or two ago, but I missed it live and the site doesn't have it. The site should be under, Evan, if you submitted a team review, it would be under my advice for your team. If it doesn't show up like this, here's the breakdown. There's a lot of them that are marked as complete, Evan. CL, here, we'll cover two birds with one stone. Does it cost money for a team review? Yes, it does. I think it's a premium product. We had multiple weeks where we were doing some for free to really iron out the process. And there was a time where you could submit them for free, and then it was a possibility that we would cover it. So if Evan, if that's what happened to you, username LeoMap. I feel like we did that one. Team name, league. I know for sure every single one that was paid was converted. So if you let me know in the, got the Boomba support channel in the Discord, Leo. Let me know there to find that one most easily for you. Let me see if I have that on a different view. We'll go to the full screen view. And I'll take a look at, I have a different window I can check right here. Because it could be just a situation where your name is ringing a bell to me. Your name is ringing a bell to me. I'm going to search and try to vamp a little bit while I talk through. It's not going to show up for me right in this way. I'll follow up with you, Evan, because if it's one that came through on the paid section, it has definitely been covered, and I will do my best to get it in front of you. If it is, it would also be under the My Advice. Is this the same page? The My Advice tab. No, it's not. I don't know why this keeps breaking on the Firefox that we have. Keep switching up which browser is showing when I go to that. So excuse me on that one. We'll go with this and we'll get that sorted for you. Pooch Magooch, so I have to pay? You don't have to. You don't have to pay for anything in life. You don't get the thing. You don't get the thing. Maybe that's not a great way to say that. Maybe that's not a great way to say that. Let's hit a trade question. We've got a lot of folks in the trade queue. I will mention with the site launch, every new account is trade questions covered. Every new account does get trade credits granted to them. Dan Grimm saying, hey, in Lewisland saying, LOL. Hobie, I submitted a trade. Can you review? Yeah, we've got the trade queue. Hobie, if you're on the TikTok, we can't put the trade queue on the screen, but we have a trade queue on Twitch and on YouTube that shows up on the screen. Like the next one is coming up. I think we have to cover one from Meaners, then Max Roos, then G Moneybag. I'm trying to point and read these. Rude Dude, then Jimmy, then Caleb, then Minivan Mafia. We've got a whole queue. We've got a whole queue. If you're typing your name, I'm going to be a little bit rude here and say, it's just not TikTok's just not the best spot to show it. There's literally not enough screen to show all of the information that we show on Twitch and YouTube. The Matt Meister submitted my team review a few minutes ago. Did you see that on your end? Let me take a look. I've got Drew, who we just covered, the Matt Meister, and Free Phase as the next one. Let's do a couple trades, then we'll jump to the Matt Meister. We've got this one from Meaners. Here we go. 12 team Superflex start 9. The notes say, I sent a Genty for my 27 first trade advice earlier, but the trade got declined. Okay. I mean, I think you're fine staying with your own 27 first in that specific instance. And we did cover that on the show, so I won't rehash it. This one was actually accepted. I got the Bowers Mendoza stack now. Now, we might have talked about this one. I think we just got a follow on TikTok, so we'll shout that out. And Amanda, thank you for the heart me as well. Hobie with the follow. Thank you. So you've got the Bowers and Mendoza stack now. His 28 first is a mid at worst. I want to push back. In 2028, is this trade on screen tight end premium? It would say, I'm gonna get distracted. Here's my thoughts on projecting 2028 first. We don't actually know where they're going to be. We don't know if they're going to be mid, if they're going to be late, if they're going to be early. A lot changes in a year. Brian Thomas Jr. goes from one of the top assets in Dynasty to nope, thanks. A lot of stuff changes every single year. So we don't know where the 2028 firsts are going to be. Sometimes we think we're close, but we don't absolutely know. Potentially an early one, and mine is a projected 2027 top 3. So here, let's pull up this league roster. There's a team, Hit the Second Bowers is the team name, and the roster is on the widescreen views. And before we keep going, let's make sure we did answer this question. I know I started to get distracted. From Chef Zach, is this trade on the screen tight end premium? Chef Zach, maybe should I add in a badge that says no tight end premium? I don't think so. I don't think we will. And none of this is meant to be rude. We do put the scoring on the screen. That's more just readability. If it doesn't have any sort of badge for a tight end premium, there is no tight end premium. Let me know if I should make that more clear. That's all. This is more like, hey, I'll make it better if it should get better. I'll make it better if it should get better, but it'll say like 12 teams, super flex, start 9, PPR, and then it would say if there's a tight end premium. If there's no badge for a tight end premium, there's 0. Now I'm just thinking maybe it could say 0, although we'll leave it. We'll leave it as it is. Here we go. The trade here, they brought in the Mendoza, or they brought in Bowers for the Mendoza stack. They traded their own. Okay, I think they took their own first that they think is going to be super, super early. They moved Stowers and Jeremy Bernard, and they went for Brock Bowers and a 28 first. With this team, we've pulled this team up. Can they contend? Man, I think we've looked at this before, where someone said they wanted the Mendoza and Bowers stack, and we said you don't have the rest of a team. Like you can want a stack. I don't know that this makes. I mean, it makes the team better. But if we go from one of the worst teams to one of the worst teams with Brock Bowers, how do we do on value here? Because we were looking at this team and saying it's a pretty early 2027 first. Moving a super early first, that should just give you maybe actually in a vacuum, if we think we're getting one of the top 3 first round picks, we send it away here, we bring in Bowers. That is right. Ethan Lovejoy, take a look at the roster. With respect to Meaners, it's terrible. The nicest way to describe this roster is that it could be better in the future. It could be better in the future. So we're trading what we think is the 101 for Brock Bowers. Ethan, we can't see the roster on TikTok. Yeah, I know. There's literally just not, like, phones aren't big enough. And I wish I could do more for you. I can't make your phone big. I can't make phones bigger. There's other spots. That's all I can say. I wish I could, but I can't make phones bigger. I just can't. I wish I could. Mine's only this big. Like, we can make it bigger. If I could make it bigger, we make it bigger, but I can't. So with this roster, it's awful. It's very early, their first. So if we say it's a very early first, it could be worth Brock. Like, you might be coming out ahead. And then Stowers and Jeremy Bernard for a 2028 first. It's fine. I personally just would have stuck with your own first and drive your own destiny, but getting Bowers is probably the right move. Scoob, make it bigger for me, story of my life. That's what she said. What did we say we would do? We said we would do a couple trades. We said we'd hit a couple trades and we'll jump to America's Team as the team name for Matt Meister. Let's do, let me look at these ones. Two quickies. I hope they're quickies. 2 quickies, then Matt. Here we go. Max Roos, 8-team Superflex, start 9. I have forgotten my times tables. What is 8 times 9? Someone just, whatever 8 times 9 is, that's the number of players that you're starting each week in this league, and it's shallow. Stretchy Silver, thank you, 72. Stretchy Silver is a Twitch sub. Thank you, Stretchy. 72 players started each week. This is a shallow league. So the best players hold a ton of weight. And when we're looking at this trade, sometimes I pull the trade up and I start talking, and you guys have seen this before me. I don't care which side of this I get. Which side of this do I want to be on? I guess the James Cook side. The James Cook side. Someone with Jonathan Taylor would then move Ramondre Stevenson. You can check out the roster on the Twitch and the YouTube. They've got Jonathan Taylor, then Bucky Irving, Chase Brown, Joda Coleman, Ja'Cory Krusky-Merritt. Ramondre Stevenson is never getting started in this league. Tony Pollard's not really ever getting started in this league. It's an 8-team start 9. These guys just are probably not starting. So we're just then looking at, would you rather have James Cook or Jonathan Taylor? Like, I think I like the upside of James Cook. But really with this trade, it's even. It's even. Which side do you want to be on? One guy's younger, one guy's older. I don't know how Jonathan Taylor's going to do. If you look at what Jonathan Taylor did last year, it was really, really good. I do want to add in the Colts when they were 8-2. I don't know that many people have gone back at the Colts and said, man, that was a really, really easy season. They do it with the Patriots. They'll say, man, the Patriots played no one. The Colts were 8-2, and we remember that, but they don't get that same scrutiny of they played garbage teams. They played the Raiders. They played the Cardinals. The only team that they really beat that was good, they were very close in a game, and I don't remember if they actually won this one against the Broncos. I've gone through and looked at the Colts. They were very close with the Broncos. I don't remember if they won or lost on that one, and they beat the Chargers convincingly. Other than that, it was the worst teams in the league. And that's when Jonathan Taylor was really, really crushing it. So it's hard to say what he's going to do in this next year. Which guy would you rather have? I guess Jonathan Taylor. I think Jonathan Taylor's getting drafted before James Cook in Dynasty startups. So from there, he would have more value and you could do more with him. And the Tony Pollard and Ramondre Stevenson part of this deal just doesn't really matter in an 8-team start 9. Are these guys top 72 players like Stretchy Silver is saying? Are they starting most weeks? Not really. Not really. On the roster that you can see on this screen, where's Ramondre Stevenson on the list of running backs? He's probably never starting. 3-point loss against the Rams as well, Ethan. I think my anecdote, Ethan, and I'm not going to tell you you're wrong on that one because you're probably right looking at the thing. My anecdote that I'm remembering from a couple months ago when I looked at it was that 8-10 stretch. And then they lost every game to end the season. So 3-game loss against the Rams, or 3-point loss against the Rams. Yeah, that's a decent team. I don't know the specifics of that game though to really comment on it in a meaningful way. Okay, next one is G Money Bag 8. Chris Olave or Pittman and Wilson. It's Olave for me. It's a 10-team, 1-quarterback start 8. This is a shallow starting pool, which means Pittman and Michael Wilson just don't hold as much value. Chris Olave, I think I'm very close to taking him in the 3rd round of a Dynasty startup. Pittman and Wilson are way down there. This is, if I had Olave, this would not be enough for me to move him for these 2 assets. I'm clearly taking Olave. Which side of this deal is G Moneybag on? They've got Michael Wilson. They've got Michael Pittman. I would be thrilled if I could get Olave in this deal. I don't know that you can, but I would be thrilled if I got that through. I'd probably go tell my wife about it. That's the type of deal that is, where I would tell my wife, I have to tell you about this fantasy football deal. I know you don't care at all, but it's so good. I have to tell you. And she would smile and she would say, why did I marry you? The only way out of this is death. Maybe I need to kill you. But I would still have to tell her. But that's the level of win that would be, where I would just have to bother my wife because I would be so happy. I would just have to let that joy out and dump it on her. And she would not care in the slightest. Let's take a look at the team reviews. We've got the Matt Meister. We said we would do 2 more trades. We did those trades. Let's take a look at the team. We need to change up this will clear the overlay. This trade will go away. And then I need to make sure that I'm about to share the correct browser window to show this. Got about 100 browser windows on my screen right now. If I click this, which one is showing? It's showing the one that I want. I just need to resize it to look a little bit better on the Twitch feed. We can make this work. Let's take down the timestamp for the start of this review. Hour 6:35. Probably need to move that forward. Apologies for doing some writing. This is just for some of the housekeeping afterwards. I'm not even talking into the mic. I put down notes of the types of trades to go build out. And before we jump into this one, I'm going to rewrite the timestamp. Could we get a shout out? Friendly exchange, mod in the chat, getting people connected to where to get their questions answered. We do try to put stuff on the screen, like if you're on TikTok, here's where you can submit your team for review to get a review like this. But give a shout out to the friendly exchange in the chat helping. And let me read down 107.24. There we go. I'm writing down the timestamp so that when we talk about this team in the video, the Matt Meister can come back to it. We've got America's team, and there's a bit of a spoiler if you're able to see it on your screen. We're going to go through these position by position. We'll give a rating for each position, 0 through 4 stars, and it's a combination of perceived production for the next year, as well as trade value, trade ability. Texas Tejano with the Chilies, with the Roses, with the Chilies. Thank you, Texas Tejano. I'm excited to have you back. We will cover your message. We're in this team review. Quarterbacks, Drake May, Sam Darnold, Jared Goff in a 12-team Superflex start 10. I've got people in this chat that I'm in a Dynasty startup with. I really like Jared Goff. I really like Sam Darnold at their current value. You got Drake May. I like building a team that has a really good quarterback and then 2 really solid options. Jared Goff has been a top 10 quarterback for the past couple of years in Detroit. We don't need to care. When you win the championship, no one looks at your team and says, was your quarterback old? They just give you the prize. So with Jared Goff, I'm feeling really good. With Sam Darnold, I'm feeling okay for the next couple of years. I think Sam Darnold is a realistic future for Tyler Shuck. Not amazing, on a good team with a decent contract for that team. That's kind of like, if Shuck keeps a job, like, great. Matt Meister, he's the defending champ too. He is the defending champ. I will say there's a reason. There's a reason the running back won Super Bowl MVP. He had a good game, but there's a reason it wasn't Sam Darnold. It's that Sam Darnold is okay. Oh, as in your roster is the defending champ. Okay, that helps. There's more context, more important context than Sam Darnold is a defending NFL champ. So we're feeling really solid. It's hard to trade some of these options like Darnold and Jared Goff. It's hard to get great value or really pull great starters for other positions from those guys. Like if you needed wide receivers, if I haven't looked at your wide receivers, but if you needed wide receivers, you could get one with Drake May. You could down tier to Dak Prescott and just get a good receiver. You have a real ton of trade ability, a ton of trade value there. We don't have that in Darnold and Goff. I'm going to call this like a weaker 3 in terms of rating. It's really good quarterback room. Running backs. Okay. Bijan, Gibbs, and then not much behind that. Let's say we have the 2 best running backs. The 2 best running backs in Dynasty. So we'll call this like a 4, but a weaker 4. Defending champion, like this is a championship level running back room. And then we have to put together the pieces for the second options. Rashad White probably could start for you in flex or in bye weeks, as well as a couple times in the flex. Jalen Warren, I'm actually not sure what's going to happen with the Pittsburgh Steelers running backs. If you're looking at someone like Rico Dowdle coming in there, who was paired up with Mike McCarthy in Dallas and was good there, It wouldn't surprise me if Dowdle had a decent role for this team and Jalen Warren wasn't the guy. I don't know that anyone on the Pittsburgh Steelers roster is a high enough talent to for sure lock in the role. That might not be the best way to say what I mean, but no one, if anyone who goes to Detroit is behind Jahmyr Gibbs. I don't know that anyone in Pittsburgh is at that level. So it wouldn't surprise me if Jalen Warren was behind Rico Dowdle. Rico Dowdle beat out Chuba Hubbard last year. They're all kind of the same tier of, yeah, they're better running backs than I am, but that's kind of it. Tony Pollard kind of gets into that same range, and Rachaad White. Like, you have enough guys to cover your bye weeks, not enough guys to cover an injury per se. But we're feeling really strong here. Like, it's a 4 because those top 2, like, you got 1 and 2. But we may want to bring in I might look to bring in a true third. Wide receivers, Garrett Wilson, Olave, Downs, Wandale. Okay, we might need a receiver on this team. Jacoby Myers, Chris Godwin, and then like some dart throws from the past that didn't quite hit. Williams, Royals, Flanoy, who's a decent piece to have. This is two. Is it a 1? No. Garrett and Olave get you out of a 1, but it's not Bijan and Gibbs. It's a weaker wide receiver room. I think you know that. We can look for spots there. And then at quarterback, Tyler Warren, Chig Okonkwo. I think you're set. Like, solid 3. People like Chig. You might be able to move Chig. You could just hold Chig for the 1 week that Tyler Warren's not playing. This is the type of roster where we're looking at and saying, Tyler Warren's playing most of the weeks. Chig Okonkwo's there maybe to gain value or to just fill in for 1 week. Is there a tight end premium in this league? 0.5 point. I don't know that Chig is maybe he ends up being like a regular flex for you or a bye week flex a couple times. I hope so. I hope so for your sake. With your draft picks, you haven't moved much of your future. Like, we haven't added any. So I typically call that about a 2. But you're in a good spot. So with this team, how are we feeling? If we have to count out a starting lineup of 10, we're starting Drake May, Goff, Bijan, Gibbs, Garrett Wilson, Olave, Downs, Wandale, Jaden Reed, Tyler Warren. Like, we're all right with the 10 that we have. We feel okay with that. And then we're just putting together the last couple spots of your flexes each week. We're playing the matchups if it's Rachaad White, if it's Jaden Reed, if it's Jacoby Myers, if it's Chris Godwin, if it's Brian Robinson. Probably not much Brian Robinson. With this squad, what would I be looking to do? Maybe pivot from Darnold. Maybe because to fill out other spots. What else would we be looking to do? Like, can we up tier? Is this a spot where I would send a first to up tier at wide receiver? I don't know that I would. If anything, we're in a year where in startup drafts, Bijan and Gibbs are going at picks 2 and 3, top 5 picks. I might be okay with down tiering from some of them because I think they're at it wouldn't surprise me if Bijan and Gibbs were lower trade value next year, even with kind of similar production. Last year was a pretty heavy running back year. So if I'm looking at trade options to strengthen wide receivers, the worries that I have would be like, can we maybe pair Wandale and Jaden Reed and come away with a better piece, or pair Josh Downs and Jaden Reed and come away with a better piece? Pair Josh Downs and Olave and come up with a better option and move some of that up just to kind of remove some of the volatility of those things. Downs, Wandale, Jaden Reed all just seem volatile. Chris Godwin. Can we find a veteran or 2 to bring in? It's tough with, I just don't want to move that many things. I'd be open to down tiering is what I would stay with one of these guys. Bijan and Gibbs, can we just down tier to Hampton? Pair Gibbs and Downs for Hampton and a better running back or a better wide receiver. that just kind of gets rid of any of the risk of a downs. So I'll look at I'll go through your league and I'll take a look at some examples with that for both Bijan and Gibbs. Can we down tier for receiver? And in those trades, I might not try to do a 1 for 2. I might try to do a 2 for 2. Gibbs and Jaden Reed for a down tier at running back and a larger up tier at wide receiver to get some more strength there. It's the weakest spot of your team, and a lot of it is like potentially fading. People like Josh Downs now. There are a lot of people trading for Josh Downs. He's trading at around the same as a 28 first. So can we just get that value in a different player at a better wide receiver and then come away with like a really good running back and a really good wide receiver rather than one of the best running backs and a shaky, we hope he breaks out wide receiver? I mean, I think with Wandale pairing up with Brian Daboll, we're just going to get a ton of targets like he was getting before. And he probably starts a lot for you. Where else can we look for players? This is feeling a lot of like studs and then harder to move things. So I might say with this team, like just go lighter at a third quarterback. The roster's really strong. Move Darnold with Downs. Move Darnold with Olave for a better wide receiver and look at options there. So I'll write that package down to see what we can get, because I don't know that you're going to get as much for Jared Goff, but you're probably getting a top 10 scoring quarterback this year, next year, for multiple years. He's what, 31, 32? That range? That's probably the clearest spot for this team, because your team is contending. Your team is contending this year. Who's fading? Some of these extra pieces that are going to be harder to replace. Warren, Pollard, White. It wouldn't surprise me if half of Warren, Pollard, White, Godwin, Jacoby Myers, Josh Downs are all much, much lower value next year, and you've got a first and a third to replace them with. So a for sure contending next year, or this 2026, and then a possible retool to get stronger in 27, and then a strong contending again in 2028. But we're kind of right on with the depth behind your studs. It's shaky. It's shaky. The Matt Meister, thoughts on down tiering Tyler Warren? Yeah, that too. I would be fine with down tiering from Tyler Warren. And if you're looking to really contend this year, the thing I might look at is like moving Tyler Warren and just doing shifts, like send away Tyler Warren, get to Travis Kelce, who's a really good veteran option. Let's take a look at some of these weaker teams, or these weaker projection teams, and look at the guys you could be bringing in. Like Ramondre Stevenson as a decent option behind your running backs could work as a target. If you're moving on from Sam Darnold, can you down tier to Geno Smith, or just get Geno Smith and then send Darnold away in a different trade to make options happen? So I'm going to write down like Geno as a target to bring in as your third guy. If your team, like one of the teams that we looked at earlier, felt much stronger across the board, that's not a knock on you. I have teams that are much worse than this, where we're just looking at the team and saying, man, we have so much. How do we combine it? With this one, we're trying to shape it. Can we move Darnold and just get that into our lineup each week to get you repeating as champion? Having this much production on your bench each week between Darnold and Goff, I don't quite love as much. If we can get that into our lineup each week and stack wins, you're a team that could be one of the teams having a bye. Let's shoot for that. I think you've already done a good job with these extra running backs. The only thing I would look at is like, can we get slightly better receivers? Can we get to Devontae Adams? Who else is on like Zapujo? Maybe a DJ Moore. Jake Ferguson would be a good cheap tight end to bring in. So I'll mark him down. Looking at Vincasion, I'm not sure how to say that. Their team pulled up not a ton of tight end that you could grab to if we're looking to pivot off of Tyler Warren. But when we're looking at your roster, there's a couple spots you could down tier. You could also down tier from Drake May. So I'll pull up some ideas of like what a down tier from Drake May would look like for your team. And then we'll have notes about each of those trades as well. But I'm expecting America's team here to be in contention to repeat as champion. But this is one where, man, an injury or two could take you out. So we'll try to find some ways to really bolster that up. And it is going to look like cutting one of the studs, moving on from one of these studs to, when you move on from a stud player, expect that you're going to bring back more value. For moving on from Bijan, we're getting a lot of stuff that's adds up to be notably worth more than Bijan. And if we're moving on from Bijan, we're probably going to try to get paid out on someone like Jacoby Myers and come away with better stuff. So we'll put together some trade ideas for you, and then that'll come through tomorrow on top of all of the stuff that we've gone over today. Thank you very much, Matt Meister. We do really appreciate each team review. Let's take a look at the chat. Let's make sure we're not missing a ton here. Jimmy, you're the best. Love the wait list ticker. Hey, thank you, Jimmy. That's my custom thing. That is just the trade reviews. Any team reviews will jump on there. Will we be doing any more trades tonight? We'll do some trades right now. We'll do a couple trades, then we do have another team review in the queue. We've been going an hour 20. We can get to it's okay if we get to 3 hours. It's okay if we get to 3 hours. We've got, let me refresh this. The next one in the team review queue is the Heisman Hustle from Free Phase. And I think that's the current state, is that we've got one more team review, and we'll jump back to that one in a couple spots. We'll be honest, we favor the team reviews. Matt Meister, glad to hear your assessment is pretty much mirroring where I'm at with that roster. Thoughts on down tiering Tyler Warren? No depth and injury away from being cooked. Like we're thinking the same things here. We'll take a look at try to get some creative ideas to get you away from being one injury away. All right, the trade queue is sitting at 12 trades in the queue. Let me make this a little bit bigger on my screen so I can manage this. We got one here from Rude Dude. Just a bit offsides is the league. Let's see on the chat. Let's pull this one up because we had the question from Ethan. Are we doing more trades? Yes, we're about to do them right now. Ethan, you prefer the TikTok? I'm on the TikTok, but I've seen him let people in the live skip the queue. We haven't. We did have queue skipping when we were demoing team reviews, where we were looking at doing team reviews for people who were here live, because we were doing something that we were testing out the site, building out the process. We were taking a product that I think is a premium product and testing and getting that done so that any issues, there's not going to be anyone upset. The expectation was, hey, we're demoing this stuff out. There was queue skipping then. Right now, we're just going to go through the queue. Let's not dilly-dally on those. Ethan, any way you can get mine tonight? Yeah, it should be coming across the top. We'll go faster. The faster we go through these, the faster we go through them. That's a dumb sentence. But what I meant was, instead of talking about how fast we can go through them, let's just go through them. Rude Dude in a 10-team, 1 quarterback, start 8. So the values here are going to be closer to like a redraft league that you're in. Are we moving pick 109 in a 1 quarterback league and Devontae Adams for Sam Laporta? There's no tight end premium here. I think we can. Am I moving Sam Laporta for those things? No. 109, we're probably not getting Sadiq to replace Sam Laporta. The roster will show up here. Joe Burrow as your quarterback, Herbert as a second, Stafford as a third. We're looking really good. Running backs, we're looking good. Do we need to be making a swap to bring in another wide receiver? And whoever we're getting at 109 in a 1 quarterback league, who are we grabbing at 109 that we're that excited about that's going to help us? I think I would just stick with Sam Laporta. Looking at this, let me just double check. This one came in. This one came in yesterday. I'm not sure if they made this deal. I would stick with Laporta, or I would make the deal for Laporta. I like Laporta to bounce back. They're bringing in the coordinator. An offensive coordinator makes a difference. They're bringing in the offensive coordinator from the Cardinals, who was not retained when the team moved on from Jonathan Gannon, but he designed an offense that really featured a tight end. Is he going to feature a tight end again this year on a team that has Amon-Ra St. Brown, that has Jamison Williams? I'm not positive. But Sam Laporta was hurt last year, so I'm expecting a bit of a bounce back just on that. And then the offensive coordinator coming in for Detroit is kind of that tiebreaker. And then with this one, I think the value is just on the Laporta side to begin with. So I would be okay with moving on from Devontae Adams in likely the tail end of his career, and the 109 in a one quarterback league. I don't really love the options there. Let's hit the next trade. This is from Jimmy. 12-team Superflex start 9 PPR half-point tight end premium, Devonta Smith, and a 27-second or Breece Hall. I think if we're just looking at value, it's close. It's good. It's good. Strongly considering this offer because I'm worried about Breece's production this year, as I'm clearly a contender. Thoughts on tacking Devonta and the second. He's also offered me Devonta for my 27 first, hopefully late. Do I like either one of those? Looking at the roster, moving Breece Hall as, which you got Jonathan Taylor, you got Breece Hall, you got Saquon Barkley, you got David Montgomery. Could we move Breece to bring in Devonta Smith and a future second? I don't think this is a terrible move. I don't think it's a terrible move. Friendly exchange with the 10 gold populars. Thank you very much. I don't think this is a terrible value move for Devonta Smith in the second. I don't worry a ton about the overall production from Breece Hall. And what I would add on here, if you're moving Breece for trying to find one wide receiver, shop around elsewhere in the league. Shop around elsewhere. Could you get a better deal? Is kind of what I would say. Smith in the second for a team that's contending, unless you're going to then take that second and go do more elsewhere on your roster. I think this is I'm going to call this one like, yeah, this is even. Could you get a deal that fits your specific team better? In a vacuum, even deal. Could you get a deal that fits your team better? Moving Breece Hall, possibly adding your own pick, like one of your own seconds. You have 2 seconds, possibly adding one of your own seconds. Yeah, I would probably look to do something like that. So like it's an even deal. I might personally shop for other things. Ethan with a question, how do I change my league on the website? To change it on the website should be, let me find this browser window. Here it is. Here's the home page with my team. It's just right up here in the top right. On the TikTok, it's just off to the right there past the search. It'll say profile. And now you can start to, I clicked it. You can see the drop down of all the teams. Depending on how wide your phone is, it might not show up there, but it's on profile. If you're on the desktop, it's in the top right. If you are on your phone, you just have to go to your profile and then it will be right there. It'll look different on your phone. It'll look like that. Leagues. You just pick a different one. Pick any different one and it'll update the site. Get rid of the phone view. POA ammo is someone who's here almost every day. I've never seen a queue jump. It was really only when we were doing the end of the demo period of team reviews. We would do a couple team reviews at the end of the stream for people in the stream. So they were jumping any sort of queue, but there also wasn't actually a queue because we weren't going to cover everyone. Here's the next trade. Trade's not the word I want. Trade is not the word I want. Trade is the next word I want from Caleb W. Guna in the Goated Dynasty League. The trade is, it's a 10-team, 1 quarterback start 8. It is a shallow. 80 players started each week. And then we'll take a look at Kiss My Astros. 80 players started each week. Where are we going with this one? JSN, CeeDee Lamb. It's going to need to be a lot on the other side for this. Or Drake London, Malik Neighbors, and a 27 first. I've seen plenty of, like, POA, give me London, Neighbors, and the pick. Really? Because I think I'm going the other way. because it's a 10-team start 8, you do need to just shift stuff up. From Drake London, he's not as valuable in this scoring format as he would be in a deeper league. He's probably the only one in this piece. The 27 first loses a bit of value in this league as well. In a 10-team start 8, it's just going to lose its value. JSN as one of the top scoring wide receivers. CeeDee Lamb as having a realistic shot to get back to a top scoring wide receiver. I mean, we're looking at Malik for CeeDee. That's even. We're probably taking CeeDee in this shallower format because he's done it. He's not injured this year. And then Drake London in a first to get to JSN is probably not actually enough in a 10-team start 8. So give me the JSN CeeDee Lamb side. If we're going deeper in a league, that's where it would shift. If you're in a 12-team, Superflex, start 10, the difference between starting 80 players each week and quarterbacks not actually having that much value, the difference between that and 12 by 10 with 24 quarterbacks starting every week, all of the value's finite in Dynasty. When we're looking at how much a team scores, it's not just infinite. If we cut the size of the league, you have to shift all that value somewhere, and it goes up to the top as you get shallower. So JSN just becomes more because he's outscoring more players than anyone else can. Did we click on that one? Let's reset this. Let's do one more trade and then we'll jump to the next team review. We got the Minivan Mafia. That's the friendly exchange in the chat, answering a lot of questions, pinning comments. Actually, we said, Kiss My Astros, we would talk about. Let's clear this from the overlay and then we'll take a look at that one. Kiss My Astros saying, website says confirming login. It might be an issue on the phone. If you're on your phone, I've seen people having an issue if they tried to use Discord to sign in with confirming the login as opposed to Google confirming the login. Fortunately, there's just not a ton that I can do to sort any logins. So I need to do something to confirm? No, there should not be need that. That's unfortunately, if the question is, do I need to do something to confirm? There's a clear answer. The answer is no, but then there's a obvious follow-up of why isn't it working? And that one I would have to dig into. But no, it should not be. I can't just straight tell you, well, it's something on your end because I don't know that. Kiss My Astro says, I'm old. I'm sure it's my error. I think it's probably something else going on, a very edge case that I would have to look into. You should not have to do anything to confirm. It should just be logging in with your Gmail or your Discord. Let's go to Minivan Mafia. We'll throw this one on the screen. He's in our chat. He's helping a ton. The friendly exchange in this deal. 10-team Superflex, start 10, full PPR, half-point tight end premium. We've got Isaiah Likely, Chris Brooks, a 29 mid-second for Kyle Pitts. There is a half-point tight end premium. Pitts is a high-volume guy, or could be. This is a changing offense. They're bringing in the head coach from Cleveland. They were heavily focusing on tight ends in the past years, involving Harold Fannin, David Njoku having really good tight end seasons for Cleveland with, didn't I just say his name and I'm already blanking on it? The head coach from Cleveland, who is now on, someone in chat, I'm having a brain fart. I can picture him with a beard, came from the Vikings. What is the name of the head coach of Stefanski? Thank you, Stretchy Silver. I almost did some Googling. I thought, if I just talk, you guys can be my Google. Thank you. Kevin Stefanski, multiple years of offenses focused on the tight end. Do we finally see like a consistent breakout from Kyle Pitts? It's possible. The other GM undervalues Pitts. I think this is about even value. And if I'm moving Kyle Pitts, is this enough for me to do it? No. I have a team where I would love to move Kyle Pitts. Would I do it for this? No. Maybe I'm just trying to make the case for the other side because I'm going with Kyle Pitts here. would I like I'm not that in on Isaiah Likely. Kiss my Astros, you got in? Yes, thank you. Thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for sticking with us. I know it's frustrating when you try to sign in and it doesn't work. And I'm just one guy and I can't help you while I'm live. Thank you for sticking with us. Me, I'm not that in on Isaiah Likely. There are not that many tight ends that are on the verge of breaking out, and then stick and really hit it in year 5, 6. He's been in the league for a while, had a good couple games. If I have Isaiah Likely, Chris Brooks, and a 27 and a 29 second, could I get something else with those things? Sure. I don't know that Chris Brooks really plays in this deal. Could I get more for Likely in a far future second? Possibly. But I'd be fine just taking the upside on Kyle Pitts. If I have Pitts, I'm definitely not taking the other side. And if I have these picks, I might go for something else. But if no one's biting on Isaiah Likely, like I wouldn't bite on Isaiah Likely personally, I would be fine taking the Pitts side and then just trying to re-roll with Pitts and move him to something. Okay, we covered that one. Let's do the team review, the Heisman hustle, submitter, sleeper username, free phase. Let's do all the clicking I need to do to bring this up on the screen. The Heisman hustle is the league. Notre Dame Fighting Irish is the team. Is this the view? Yes, it is. Let's take a look at the team. We got 130. We'll just call it 138 on the timestamp. I write down a timestamp when we start each of these, because when you get your big owns, this is your team. All right, let me know. I'll be looking for you in the chat. Let me know with your thoughts as we're going through here. Any questions, any directions? You've got my ear. What we do with our team reviews is we're going to go through position by position, and we'll give a 0 through 4 star rating for your team. That's going to be a combination value of your production for this year, as well as the value that you could have in a trade. We'll take a look at that for quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, your future value picks. And then we're going to take a look at, hey, what's your standing in the league? Where do we feel you are this year? Where do we feel you are in the next couple of years? We'll give you an outlook for the next couple of years. Are you contending? Are you rebuilding? Would I retool this year to get you contending next year, etc.? And then we'll take a look and we'll talk through some example trades and players I would target. And then in the follow-up tomorrow, you'll get a link on the site on the My Advice tab. On the My Advice tab, you'll be able to see on the team reviews, is it going to load for this demo as we're going? You'll be able to take a look at a full text breakdown of what we talked about. It would be right here under team reviews. For me, I'm a reviewer, so it shows me all of them. You'll get a page on the site for your team with a snapshot of your team, the trades that I would recommend with my justification of what I would do with this team, as well as some general marching orders for how I would build any other trades. We'll talk about it. It should become clear. With this team at quarterback, we've got Brock Purdy, Cam Ward, Kirk Cousins as a starter to begin with. Will Howard and Cade Klubnik, unlikely to do anything. This is feeling 2. I like Brock Purdy. I like Cam Ward as a decent second quarterback, but if we're in a 12-team start 10 superflex, we're looking at one of my least favorite QB1s and one of my least favorite QB2s. I think it's a fair way to say that. Purdy is going to be somewhere between quarterback 8 and 12, 8 and 14 this year. Cam Ward as someone who would be quarterback, if he's really like 15 to 22. That's the way that I would say not my favorite QB1 and not my favorite QB2. But there's also tradable value here. People like Brock Purdy. I don't know that he's going to repeat what he did last year, and people are hyped about Cam Ward. He hasn't done anything yet, but people think a second-year breakout is coming with Brian Daboll. Brian Daboll is apparently the guy who solved Josh Allen. I'm not sure I agree with that type of storyline being told about Cam Ward. I think Brian Daboll may end up being one of those coaches that was a highly thought of coordinator, became a head coach, stunk at being a head coach, and then goes back to being a coordinator and isn't very good. It wouldn't surprise me if he was the offensive version of my Bears, Matt Eberflus. Defensive coordinator, got a head coach job, was a bad head coach, went to be the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys last year and was awful at it, and then is not a coordinator anymore. That wouldn't surprise me if that was Daboll. That's a realistic future. It's also possible that Cam Ward does take a step forward. I stay pretty wide on the range of outcomes. POA Ammo Daboll is the QB whisperer. I think he can get some juice out of Ward. I'd say he's not. Brian Daboll went on to become a head coach where Daniel Jones was not whispered to. Maybe Daniel Jones needed a QB screamer, and Brian Daboll couldn't do that. Daniel Jones then went on to a different team and did become a good quarterback. So was Brian Daboll the whisperer there, but couldn't get through to Daniel Jones, and then a different coach could? Or is Josh Allen just really good and Brian Daboll's riding off of that? I don't know, but I think there's not actually that much evidence to say he's a QB whisperer. Josh Allen's just really good. I think Daboll screamed at him too. Hey, I think Daboll did a lot of things that didn't work. Tom Brady was great. Was Bill Belichick a QB whisperer? He's not an offensive guy, but I think this is one of those situations where the Josh Allen is giving some credit back to coaches that might not deserve it. That's my thoughts. I do stay open that Cam Ward could be good. He's tradable. I see your Biggs. Is it Big Zounds? Big Z owns? Unsure on the pronunciation there. I see that you've tried to move off of Cam Ward multiple times. We'll send some options. I don't know that we have to. We might be able to ride with him, depending on the rest of the team. Running backs, Bucky Irving, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Kyle Monangai, Tony Pollard, Rachaad White, Aaron Jones as a starter, Kalen Black as a dart throw for the 49ers. It's possible Kalen Black is something. We can't ignore that the 49ers draft a lot of running backs, and sometimes Christian McCaffrey gets hurt, and then one of them is really valuable. That's in the range of outcomes for Kalen Black. I'd say he's a little bit like, I don't want to talk about him a ton. If we're looking at rankings here from just consensus fantasy value, he's a very lowly thought of running back. I think he's worth more than running back 98. But running back like 50 versus 98, who cares that much? How are we feeling on your running back room for this year? This is feeling like a 2 as well. Like, we'll have good production, but it's not giving us a ton of room to pivot to other things. Barkley, Derrick Henry, probably our best use is to start them. Hopefully we have enough players around these guys that we're just starting them and getting the production near the end of their careers. Bucky Irving is a player I like to bounce back off of his injury. I don't know for sure that it'll happen at the start of the year. They're saying that injury might carry, but I'd say there aren't that many players who get injured and then are just never good again, and their injuries linger for eternity. So at running backs, you probably have enough to contend. Wide receivers, Jamar Chase, Amon-Ra, we're looking great. And then Pierce, Cooper, Metcalf, Christian Watson. Okay. This is one of those situations where it's not a lot of options for trading here. You're not going to get a ton for DK Metcalf, but you'll get good production. Not a ton of tradability on Christian Watson, but I like Christian Watson as a pretty good dart throw. Like, I think we have enough here. You're just incredibly top heavy. Chase, Amon-Ra, we're feeling really good. If this was like Ibuka as a third guy, we'd say, oh yeah, that's a 4. But with Alec Pierce as your third guy, very high on Watson. I'm high on Watson. I'm going to get it like wide receivers. It's a 3. Running backs, Tonjes, Schultz. Do we have a tight end premium here? A half-point tight end premium? This is a 1 to a 0, a 1 to a 0 at tight end. Tonjes probably gives you some production early while Kittle is out. Big Z owns saying, yeah, it's bad. Like we can dig around and look for tight ends. And then at picks, you just kind of have your own. You move to 27 fourth, which who cares if it's not there? Picks, typically if you just have your own picks, I call it a 2. We haven't added anything else. It's not a massive strength for us. If we're looking at the state of your league, though, we've got some teams that could be duds. What we have on the lineup power here is scoring projections for the league, and then we look at your scoring settings. The system builds out a general lineup, and we've got some Kentucky Wildcats. We'll put this one up on the screen. Isaac Tisla as the top wide receiver, probably not going to win a lot. Colson Loveland, Eli Stowers. This might be a team to target for a tight end. I see some people with some questions. We'll take a look at those after this. Those might be some places to target. If we're looking at, what did we say? We covered all the ratings on your team. Here was yours. What did we say? Quarterbacks 2, running backs 2, wide receivers 3, tight ends 3, picks 2. Just based on the state of your league, like you have production for this year. This is a contending team, even with no one at quarterback. So do we move some things to try to get a quarterback? Where can we move, or a tight end? Where can we move things? I don't know that Kentucky Wildcats wants DK Metcalf for a trade. I think the obvious spot to move things is tear down from Jamar Chase, tear down from Amon-Ra St. Brown to try to make a deal that's going to bring you in a tight end. So I'm going to build trades doing down tiers from wide receiver for tight ends. Like that's the clear spot where you need something. Otherwise, this team can win. You have enough production, you have enough like tradability that we can turn into production to win. I think you're contending this year, and then I think we're probably retooling. Like Barkley and Derrick Henry, we're going to be losing some value on just with the way the league shakes out. We're probably losing Mike Evans, who's going to be a big we're expecting to be a decent contributor for you this year, and then fades away. DK Metcalf probably gives you like bad wide receiver 2 to good wide receiver 3 value for the next 1 to 2 years. Right? And it stays that way. And then we hope that Omar Cooper becomes that over the middle guy for the Jets that does kind of direct where the next couple years for you go. But I think you're contending, and then like maybe Dalton Schultz is enough for you. Probably retooling. Like we don't know what's going to happen with Cam Ward. If Cam Ward is looking bad at the start of the year and Barkley's looking slow, this is a spot where we might pivot this year and start that retool. So I'd say, like, let's try to contend this year. But if we have to and it's not going well, let's get what we can for Derrick Henry. Let's get what we can for Saquon. And I would be looking at, I'll put some trades on the review for if things aren't going well, where would I try to go? And it's probably going to be things like, if we're going into a retool, let's move Amon-Ra and Derrick Henry to maximize what we get back. We'll get the full value back, and we won't have the star stud of Amon-Ra, but we won't lose all of that Derrick Henry value. We'll move Jamar Chase with Saquon Barkley to go 2 for 2 on a better 2 for 2 for a retooling team. We'll get 2 players that have potential upside. We'll be moving on from Jamar Chase at the peak, but when we're down tiering, we're saying, hey, Chase can't get more valuable, and this team needs more valuable, needs more value. So we may look to be pivoting to find pieces that can go up in value. That's the type of moves that could be in the future for this team. But if we're looking at the scoring projections, like you're set to likely make the playoffs. And if you're in the round of making the playoffs, this is the type of team where I'd say, if we're making the playoffs, let's get there. Let's get in, and then depending on if you get a bye or not, it's 3 weeks, and you haven't, unless injuries have hit you in a rough way, this is a team that can win 3 weeks in a row. Can we move Tony Pollard for Travis Kelce? Can we move Rachaad White for Kelce? Some of these deeper options that could be starting for you, but we do just need a top producing tight end or a better producing tight end. Dalton Schultz will give you, 5 points a week on average. He'll give you a couple points a week on average, but having a veteran Travis Kelce to get you contending more this year before you pivot to maybe a retool next year for value rising assets. That's the way I would view this one. Let's take a look at some other guys like on Kentucky Wildcats. I don't know that you're going to get Colson Loveland from this guy. I don't know that it makes sense for your team. I'm not seeing a ton of obvious things here to go pick at. There's not a lot here. They traded for they earned the first overall pick. They took Jeremiah Love. And then the rest of it's kind of not quite fitting for what I would do with this team. King Ransom, unlikely to move Carnell Tate, unlikely to let you pivot to Trey McBride. If Zach Ertz was healthy and playing again, it's the same equivalent of Travis Kelce. I would like to have Zach Ertz. He's not playing. He's a free agent. Tucker Kraft, Sanders here. If you could get Tucker Kraft, swing something Tucker Kraft here. Let me write down Tucker Kraft and see if I can build up a trade that could possibly be done here. With the team that you have, I probably don't want to move a 27 first because we've got some older stuff coming. In terms of future dynasty value, Kentucky Wildcats, we're looking at the bottom. Like you're in a contending window, and then it's going to flip. And then if you manage that right, you can get right back into a contending window with the value that you have. So that's what's got me thinking we're contending, and then we probably need to retool. Just on total value, these aging assets can win you this year, but we can't turn them into a ton more. You're in a good spot to go forward, though, or you're a good spot for this year. Let me see if anything else jumps out to me as we click through these teams at the bottom. P. Marl. Geno Smith is a type of player that I would want to add for this team. Think of like the running back equivalent of Geno Smith, the running back equivalent of, or the tight end equivalent of Geno. Who's got Kelce? That just feels like such a clear win for you. Arizona State Sun Devils has... Are all these teams named after the colleges you went to? I would take a look at... Let's not distract me. Let's not distract me. I would take a look at the Arizona State Sun Devils. Can I build a team, or can I build a trade? I'll put together some ideas of kind of just sneaking Kelce in. So spitballing here, looking at your roster. If we want Travis Kelce, I am fine with rotating assets. Like, I don't care which running back I get back. I'll move Bucky Irving. I'll move Alec Pierce in kind of a 2 for 3, a 3 for 3, and fit it in so that Kelce is coming back to your team. And I'll be open to a ton of pivots, as long as at the end, I've just kind of snuck in that value of Kelce. Maybe I throw a 3rd round pick in on that deal and Kelce comes back. I wouldn't send just a 3rd for Kelce because that typically gets declined. That guy will just use Travis Kelce. I kind of mask it in a deal. So I'll put an idea of that in there for you, but that'll be my mindset on it. Can we kind of just get back a cheap tight end to fill that in? And then we'll feel a lot better about this team. You don't trust Geno at the moment with the girl situation. POA ammo. I don't even know what that means. So we'll put together some trade ideas on here. I think you're good to contend, and then probably a retool, and then enough that if you do it right, you'll be right back to contending. Thank you very much for submitting that one. Let's take a look at some trades and see where we're at. What time? How long have we been going? Hour 55. That's not so bad. I saw a pinned one of someone said they submitted their team. I don't see that one. Jared Neto, I submitted my team. That's the last one in the queue for team reviews that we have right now. Johnny Neto. My mind was, did I say Jared Neto? Because I was thinking Jared Leto. I don't see one submitted. let me take a look and try to do some math. Is it possible you can I get a quickie free review from Kiss My Astros on the TikTok feed? I appreciate the question. On the TikTok feed, we can't fit the scrolling trade queue. We've got enough to go through on just trades. I see 3 submitted today. 3 purchases today and 3 submitted today. And actually, Kiss My Astros, when you create your account, it should have given you team or trade review questions. Let's go with, let me find the right window. Let's take this, let's put it here. Let me control the live screen, the live show. We've got a trade from OG Dynasty from MVPVD. Ooh, this will be one. In a vacuum, who do you want to have? Bucky Irving or Jalen Waddle? I think these guys are going like bingo bango right next to each other. Your team has, if I'm looking at your, like, this is one, let's pull this up. Do I still have this pulled up? I do. Here we go. We could take a look at this. So we've got the trade on the screen. I'm going to pivot and then we'll come on right back. We'll pull this up here. If it's a 1-for-1 trade, I will very often look at who's getting drafted first in Dynasty startups. So I've got startup ADP right here. Can we find Bucky Irving pick 60? We're not just going to for sure go with the order that they're in, but Jalen Waddle going pick 77. So for your team, if you move Bucky Irving, looking at your roster, like, you've got Bucky Irving, would I swap him for Jalen Waddle? That's about what you can get. You could maybe get a 3rd round pick on top, a 2nd or 3rd. You could ask for a 2nd or a 3rd on top with this guy or with this trade. And then for your team, I think it fits. So, I mean, look around your league. Could you get a better receiver than Jalen Waddle for Bucky? It's possible. I mean, just looking at 1-for-1 options, he's being drafted right next to Zay Flowers, right next to Devonta Smith in startup ADP. So could you ask for someone else? Yeah. That guy might not want to move you, Devonta Smith. He might not want to trade you, Zay Flowers. If I'm looking at startup ADP, Roma Dunze is in that range. Rashee Rice is in that range. Those are all guys that are closer in value to Bucky. So if we're adding something to either one of these sides, it's on the Waddle side. If you can't get anything else through, I don't think this is bad. Sometimes once you're in your sometimes, you know, when you go from in a 1-for-1 trade, we look at startup ADP to get a gauge of what is the market like more. But then once you're in your league of 12 people, the sample of every startup happening gets shrunk down to just you and 11 other people. And if you can't get anything better than Bucky, this is within the range where I would be okay to do it. You could probably get a 4th added on top from Jalen Waddle. We'll close that one out. Because my Astro says I want an expert to look at my team, not trade advice. I'll pay next week. Hey, we'll see you back here. Trenton LOL with a question. What's your favorite spot for redraft this year? That's a video that we're going to put out this week. Here's the secret. It doesn't matter. Trenton LOL, what's the best spot in your draft next year? Here, it's a trick question. It's not a trick question. It's not a question I ever think of. If you only can think so many thoughts in a day, and if you're spending your time on fantasy thinking, I gotta find the best pick to have in my draft, you're wasting your thoughts. Spend more time looking for breakout candidates. Spend more time looking for things of that nature, Because if you go back and you look at who were on the championship rosters last year, there is not going to be a correlation between what pick that person had and how they won. It's the guys who found breakouts. So I'm going to be spending much more time looking at that than I am wondering, should I have pick 3 or pick 5, because it's just a waste of thoughts. Awesomer, good news. Scatabo's back. How are you? How are you? Ooh, Awesomer. You had a keeper league. Golly, this is putting me in a tough spot. Awesomer. You need to figure out what to do. You've had Saquon for the past 3 years and hit the maximum of having him and have to live without him this coming season. Okay. I'm feeling better, because typically I don't answer keeper questions. One of the reasons that we only take our Dynasty questions through our site is because there's a ton of variables in Dynasty. Keeper somehow has even more that just don't get included in the question most of the time. I answered a keeper league question for someone last off season, and then he said, could you take a look at my draft? And it was the oddest draft I had seen. No snaking draft picks, things like that. Like I can try to answer these keeper questions, but I feel like I'm always missing information, and I just don't want to tell you the wrong thing based on your league. POA Hemo, wasting your thoughts, probably the funniest thing I've heard today. Hey, I wasted my thoughts on a lot of stuff today. I'm not saying I don't do it. I'm just saying, what's a better way to say that? If you worry a ton about which pick is the best pick in your redraft league, all of the time that you spent thinking about it got you no closer to the championship. It's just not actually a helpful thing to think about. Let's do the next trade up here rather than ranting. We got a trade in the league called Dynasty 1, the number 1 dynasty that's ever existed, maybe. Perret, unsure how to say it. It's on your screen. I see it there. A lot of team on the widescreen view. It's dipped off the bottom of the screen. If you're on the TikTok view, nothing looks weird to you. But on the Twitch and YouTube, that's a lot of team. 10-team super flex, 6-point passing touchdown, start 11. So decently deep. PPR, half-point tight end premium. Okay. Do we want Michael Mayer or Jatavian Sanders in a 27 third? Just give me the third. Just give me the 27 third here. Here's my breakdown. A third's not going to go to 0. A third's not going to 0. Jatavian Sanders and Michael Mayer are likely both going to 0. No valuable droppable tier. You're not dropping your 3rd round pick. You might make that pick and then have that go to 0. But we're not dropping a pick. So which one of these guys? I think I'll just take the pick and drop whichever player I get on here. Give me the pick on this one. Unless this is some sort of incredible, I mean, this is a very deep roster. But these guys are in, looking at this league, Perret 8 in Dynasty 1, unless I'm missing something in your scoring, it's a 10-team start 11 with about 1 billion people on the roster. So it starts to feel like these guys should hold value. And the reality is they're just droppable tier in these other, or in a shallower league. So give me the 3rd round pick. All right, Ryan Phillips, he just subscribed on YouTube today. Let's take a look at the question. In the Legion of Boom is the league. 12-team, Superflex, start 9, PPR, 1-point tight end premium. Okay. Here's the notes on the trade. When you submit your trade on the site, you can add in notes, and I'll read them here. I currently have the 101 and 103 from a trade. I was planning to draft Jeremiah Love, but I currently don't have a 3rd quarterback. I traded my 2026 110 and a 27 first for the 101. I think that's a good deal. Do I? Yeah. 27 first in the 110 in a 12-team start 9. You got the 101. That part I don't need to evaluate. Am I moving the 101 for Jalen Hurts? Unless I'm missing something in this league. 12-team, Superflex, start 9, and you have 2 quarterbacks. If you're on Twitch and on YouTube, you can check out quarterbacks. They've got QBs. Caleb Williams, Joe Burrow, we're fine. Do you need a 3rd quarterback? Without doing a full roster deep dive, I will just say in general, you don't need a 3rd quarterback in Superflex. Stretchy Silver saying, got to keep the 101. I agree. I don't like to get super dismissive, so I'll also pull this up and say, we've been looking at Dynasty startup as we go through this. If we look for Jeremiah Love, he's mid-second round. He's a mid-second round pick. That's what we're finding in our current startup that's happening right now. He's already gone, and we're getting to the end of the third, and Jalen Hurts hasn't gone. Here, he's going at pick 26. I think that fits with what I'm seeing across leagues, which just says people will give you more for Jeremiah Love. Do I want a third quarterback? No. Do I like Jalen Hurts? I like him quite a bit compared to other folks. I might end up, I don't really, I'm in a league. I need to make a pick soon. I do need to draft him. Someone in the chat says, just want to smash draft on Hurts, man. That might be what I want to do, but I probably won't. I think I do like to give like a full breakdown. Jeremiah Love going right here mid-second round. I don't mean to click on that and have it pull it up. You can get more than just Jalen Hurts. And your team does not need a third quarterback. If you need a third quarterback, go get Bryce Young. Go get someone else. Like, what picks do you have? I mean, I'm probably not sending any of these picks for a third quarterback. I don't think you need one. I don't think you need one. It's 2 weeks out of the year that you would have to start that other quarterback. I'll just start. It's a super flex, Grayson. Let's go back to the trade. It'll say SF down there. If it's 2 QBs, it'll say 2 QBs. But because it's super flex, just start someone else those weeks. I'll start Jeremiah Love those weeks. Did we click on that one? We broke it down. We'll put that. I'm sticking with the 101. You could get more on top of Jalen Hurts. Let's take a look. I'll take a check on the team reviews. Team review Q. We do have one from Matt's Surrender Hole. Oh no. We've got a team review. Let's put it up on the screen. The submitter, KV. Is KV here? And Ryan Phillips says, lost Joe Burrow last year, and that made me worry. If you lose Joe Burrow, you end up trading the extra things for someone who's filling in there, or you go find the equivalent of Jacoby Brissett. There won't always be a Jacoby, like it won't be Jacoby Brissett again, but there will be someone else who gets you decent value as a third quarterback. I don't necessarily look for one. It's a rare window where the third quarterback, where you have a team that's so good that you can have all of that third quarterback value constantly on your bench, and then you lose one of your QBs, you lose Joe Burrow, and that third quarterback is so good that they help you win the league. You need a guy who's like really, really cheap, but then also producing well enough to actually make a difference if you're starting him every week to keep you contending. I don't often try to get into that window. I'll just take my 2. If it breaks bad for me that year, I try to make a trade to bring someone else in, maybe trading future value to bring someone else in to keep the contending window open for that year, but I don't need to have a third one. Let's take a look at Matt's surrender hole. That's the worst sentence I could say. Let's take a look at KV's team. It's a better sentence. I feel better saying that. 14 team, 1 QB, start 8. Let's write it down. In my notes, I just wrote down the word Matt's hole. Thanks, Matt. Maybe you're not Matt, but thank you. Thank you. Just writing down some notes for this so we can put together a good text breakdown, a good text write-up. Let's get it on the screen. What's the timestamp? 2:10:25. Let's take a look at this team. Matt's surrender hole. We'll go through this position by position. It's a 1 quarterback start 8 PPR, no tight end premium. Drake May, he's going to be one of the Anabolic All-Star is the one submitting the team review there in the YouTube chat. Looking at this team, if we're just breaking down positionally, how are we feeling about this with quarterback 4? It's a 1 QB, and we've got one of the most valuable, most highly thought of ones. Like, give me Drake May. Who else are we putting in this range? Josh Allen? No one else at the top? So, like, Kyler Murray's a good second option, good value riser throughout the year. Give me, yeah, we're good. We're good here. Running backs, Achane, great. Tootin, oh. Ramondre Stevenson, oh. Okay, in a 14-teamer, we can make this work. We can make this work. Once we get past those 3, Aaron Jones could start for you. Damon Claiborne from Minnesota is a good sleeper. A good sleeper. But at running back, it's feeling a bit weaker. Typing out, I'm writing down like 2 because I'm not feeling great about the second options here. I don't know that I'm going to get up to a 3. And I'm not going to a 1, so we'll call it a 2 at running backs. Wide receivers, Emeka Ibuka, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, Travis Hunter, the Coke Man, big Coke sniffer. Malik Washington could be number 1 for Miami. That took me a while to think of the team name Miami. I mean, if the top is Ibuka, Zay Flowers, is again, or like Jordan Addison, I think he's a good wide receiver 2. I think he bounces back to that level this year. I'm writing down a 2. So across the board, we've gone 4, 2, 2 tight ends. Kyle Pitts, Brenton Strange. Kyle Pitts is a volatile spot for me. I have a hard time going. But I mean, it would be a strong 2 to a weak 3 on the edge there. And then future pick value, we've moved all of our 27 picks, essentially. We've got a 3rd, which is not going to hold that much value. How are we feeling about this team? Like, if we're looking at projection for this year, Matt's surrender hole, middle to bottom of the pack, which is kind of where I was feeling on this. I think how many teams make the playoffs here in this 14er? 6. We can count out 6, 7, 8. We're looking at like 9th in projected scoring. Now, one of the things with fantasy that we say, and as we pull up this chart, the fun of fantasy is that we don't know what's going to happen, but it's unlikely. It's a tough road to get to the playoffs in this league. We would need some injuries to really hit in a way that dodge us. You ended up winning the league last year. I think you probably got really good value on Drake May. Stevenson gave you some good performances. Tootin got you some hits. Would I drive this one back the whole way through? I don't know that I need to make pivots right now. The way I would view this team, there's no one that terrifies me. We don't have a 27 first. So I mean, I think I'm looking at this and saying, we'll play it out. You won it last year. We'll see where we go this year. If I'm looking at the pieces that, I mean, have you made a lot of moves in the off season that have taken you from where you were at the championship to, is this the team that got you there? All-star? Like Bijan, Ken Walker, we're feeling good. Oh, not much running back there. No moves made. Let's give it some thoughts. Give it some thoughts. So you moved your 27 first at some point last year. Am I reading that right? Let's take a look at where you were last year and what's probably changing. Aaron Jones, probably not actually changing that much. Gives you about half the year with good performance. Probably misses a couple games. He's been doing that over the past couple years. But overall, when he's going, like, we're probably getting decent performance out of Aaron Jones and starting him in a 14-teamer. Travis Hunter, hurt, not helping you a ton in the stretch last year. That Go Pop's coming in from Friendly Exchange. Thank you very much. I think that's the final one that I see on the gift feed that probably triggered that noise. You moved the second round 2 years ago to get Tootin. I think Tootin's a decent value win for you on that. And Tootin can be a difference maker for you this year. What do we need to do? We need to start 8. How do we feel about the 8 that we're starting? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's an okay 8. Like Drake May is the stud for you. Achane, we hope is a solid running back stud. Where can we go with this squad? I think we have a good bounce back with Jordan Addison. We're hoping for the breakout from Kyle Pitts. This is one I'm going to play it out for the first couple weeks. If I'm worried about value, where can we pivot? The next pivot is just down tiering from Drake May. Can the roster that we have afford, with no 27 first round pick, can we afford to hold Drake May as our guy? I think that's kind of where I'm starting to pivot things. It's not, he doesn't hold as much valuable. He doesn't hold as much value in a 1 quarterback league. We're hoping, I mean, if we get, yeah, I think we're going to go for it here, but this is like a sneak in team. And at any point, where can we move guys? No one is jumping out as the movers. Achane probably as some of the highest value. Drake May as an option to pivot from. And then we're just looking at like we have so many guys that can break out for us. If it's not going well, when I'm looking at this team, I just keep thinking of what do we do if it doesn't go well for us? I don't know if you're feeling the same way about this one, or if you're as committed to it to get back in for the next year. But if it's 6 teams getting in, have we covered that one? I think it's just 6 getting in. You said you had won it, but we didn't get a playoff count. I'm not feeling great about Tootin and Ramondre as the second options. I'm not feeling 100% confident that Jordan Addison is the thing that gets us there. We don't have that first to fall back on. Can we get to a first? This is looking like we go for it this year, and then we're probably rebuilding in 27 and starting to move some of these things. We don't have that. Travis Hunter as a decent value riser. Can we start to pivot some things here? If we really want to add more production in, might be moving. Drake May keeps jumping out at me, and then looking at rolling with Kyler as options. I don't know that I'm even really recommending that. Let's take a look at who's down here that we could go after. Because what did we put down? So really strong quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. There's the man. It's really just a ton of assets that can get way better, like a Emeka Egbuka, big breakout do we get the big breakout from Emeka Egbuka? I know there's a drumbeat for Zay Flowers to be ascending. We've seen some of that ascension in the past year. Like the stats are looking really good. Jordan Addison, I think the down year is just blamed on JJ McCarthy, and Kyler Murray gets him back. And then Travis Hunter probably does play some wide receiver this year. Past that, am I that excited about Juwan Jennings on the Vikings? Not really. Am I that excited for Malik Washington? He might end up being he's definitely someone that could end up starting for you as the lead receiver on Miami. And then a breakout from Kyle Pitts. Like there's a shot you get in if we're not getting in if we're not feeling like confident, if we're not if we get to like the way I'm playing this, if we get to week 4, week 5, and we're not making the playoffs, I'm pivoting hard. And I don't know that pivoting to 27 picks is what's going to get us out. I might just say if 26 doesn't go for us, then 27 is also out of the cards. And we're looking at 2028 is how I'm feeling on this one. And then it's hard to, if we're saying go for it this year, but if it doesn't end up working out for you, it's hard to exactly to give, well, who do we then follow up and trade? Because we're saying Zay Flowers, does he repeat as a wide receiver 7? If he does, that's a great trade piece. But if he doesn't, that's the reason you're missing the playoffs with a team like this. It's just on the edge. And Emeka Egbuka, do we get that second year breakout? If he does, we're looking great. If he doesn't, it's hard to give strict trade or more targeted trade advice in a situation like that where we don't know who's going to break out. We don't know who's going to be the guy. So the thing that I might look to do in this offseason, like, can we get more solid pieces that we feel better about? Can we pivot off of some of these guys to get things that aren't as volatile? Maybe you like living in that way. If you have strong opinions about who's going to be hitting for you, roll with it. But Pitts has been up and down. Flowers has not quite hit the way we've wanted to. The 2 halves of the year last year for Egbuka were really great and then really bad. And now we're kind of selling on him in the middle. Would I move my 27 first to add to this team? No. Would I move 28 firsts to add to this team? Not really. And ultimately, the more I look at it, I may just start trying to burn it down. Let's see this offer that you're saying here. Anabolic All-Star, you have an offer out there including tearing down from May to get Mahomes and Derrick Henry. If I'm tearing down from Drake May, I want value risers. Because that's one where the way I'm looking at this team, if I'm tearing down from Drake May, I want shots at keeping me with decent production now, but building towards the future. Not tearing from Drake May to Patrick Mahomes and one more year of Derrick Henry. Because I don't know. I don't know that going to Derrick Henry really solidifies us as the top team for sure making the playoffs. So we'll put together some trades that get us closer in that range. Unless you're telling me like you comfortably got into the playoffs last year. Maybe you did with Drake May's performance against that weaker schedule. I'm not feeling like this is a comfortable shot at making the playoffs. And then if we did a trade like that, Drake May to Mahomes and Derrick Henry, man, we're putting it all in on this year without actually feeling like we're for sure getting a ton more production. So we'll put together some like value risers to get you gaining value as much as we can while keeping you in contention. I've already got one. I like Jordan Addison as an option there. Where else do we like that? In a 1 quarterback league, probably not Stroud. If we're down tiering at quarterback, I might go to like Dak Prescott and then try to bring in a younger running back, try to move someone, pivoting to bring in like a younger option. We would be selling at the ultimate high with Drake May and then bringing in a quarterback who's not getting any higher but gives you good production, trying to bring in a running back or a wide receiver that has good production, but that has good production and value, but then could go up. That's what we would be looking for. So we'll build some trades. We'll get that sent out to you with a path forward. Did we go through these? Like let's find that. Let's take a look at the Mahomes team. You said they wanted to send you Mahomes and Derrick Henry. If I'm doing a deal with them, like I would be closer to like Mahomes and Scatabo, and you're sending them something else. That's the type of deal that I'm looking at for this team. I don't feel like we're close enough to the championship to really pivot to more older assets. We'll move on from a young asset to like an older receiver, but it would be Mahomes and Scatabo rather than Mahomes and Henry. And if we had to add something on that, that's where I would go. With this team, could you get a value riser in Rashee Rice in a trade if they want to pivot from Patrick Mahomes? I'm looking at other things in that same value range as Derrick Henry. Mahomes, Scatabo, Rashee Rice are all kind of in that range that can be value risers through this season. Where I just don't want to pivot to Henry. The plow has no penis. I just realized that team name. If we're looking at other, I'm going to go through. We won't do them all on the live stream. I'll go through and I'll pull like other options for quarterback down tiers that pivot your value upside going forward. Where I think we can eke in and contend this year, but man, I don't know that unless we're making some moves setting us up for future value. I don't know that we're going to get out of a retool year in 2027. And I'm trying to just mitigate that. Does it go to like a 1-year retool or rather than a 2-year rebuild? Is that one making sense? Do you have more questions on that one? Or do you have other offers or thoughts on that one? Oh, did the TikTok? Oh, this just says no sound detected. For moving, okay, some other options that jump to mind were like some of the rookie receivers are really cheap right now compared to other years with rookie receivers. So we'll take a look at some of those. The entire offer was May, Jones. Let's take a look. Drake May, Jones, Pitts, Malik. Am I seeing a Jones? May, Jones. Was there an autocorrect or am I just missing a player? Malik, May, Jones, Pitts, Malik for Mahomes, Henry, and Rice. Okay, bringing in Rice does change it up a bit. I'm blanking on a oh, Aaron Jones, duh. Just watched you go over Jones 5 times. That's true. That's true. Do we go Drake May to Mahomes, May, Jones, Pitts, Malik for Mahomes, Henry, and Rice? I think we might be able to come up with something else. But that's the range that we're in. Like if we're going for it this year, incredibly close. But otherwise, there's going to be a year of down tiering to get back picks and value risers. So I'll take a look at that. That's what we've written down. QB down tiers. We've looked at, I mean, maybe I'm gonna with any team, I'm looking at Kelsey as a 1-year as a 1-year option. If we can move from Pitts and bring Kelsey in, how does that shape out the rest of your team? If we look at moving Achane and running back weak, can we get value rising options to go over other things? We'll put all that together. We'll send that over to you and then try to find some better trades to get you towards contending either this year or can we get you contending in 27, 28 and skip this year? Because there's definitely a non-contending year in your future. It's just when do we want to have it? Is the way I'm viewing this team. So thank you very much on that one. I see Anabolic All-Star and the submitter was KV. Let's check the trade queue. Where are we? We've got 11 in it. And we are at 2 hours, 30 minutes. Reset this. Let's get a trade on the board. Let's get a trade on the board from Fausto. Fausto asks, in a 12-team super flex, start 10, full PPR, tight end premium, are we doing? The notes here on the trade say, trying to rebuild and tank this year, acquiring 27 picks. You already got 3 firsts, including my own and my own second. We'll try to sell some of these picks in the next offseason to get proven assets. Are we moving Bo Nix and Devonta Smith for Ibuka, a first and a second? I mean, we're close in straight up value on, in the value vacuum. How does this one work out? Ibuka, Bo Nix, incredibly similar value. If we're looking at a startup ADP, they're the same, like within 6-7 picks of each other. Got startup ADP right here. Bo Nix as pick. Where's Bo? It's pick 35 with Ibuka as 33. So spot on. Within 5 picks of each other. We just knock those ones out. So if we're looking at the rest of the trade, it's Devonta Smith for a 27 first and a 27 second. That's value, or that is the value. If we're looking to down tier to just get out of stuff, looking at the roster here, is there any other things that would stop me from making this move? Not really. Not really. There's nothing else where I'm like, man, we got to make sure that we get rid of these guys. Like Brent Strange. Can we try to find a way to move him? Maybe. Maybe. Could we find a way to move? There's nothing. Aaron Jones in a deal like this. Nothing critical that would stop me from making this deal. I think this one's like, if you're trying to just move things for their current value in picks, that's this. The only other option that I might try to say on a deal like this is, is there someone we can add to get you from a 27 second into a different, like a 28 first? Maybe Brenton Strange as the option. If you threw in Brenton Strange, can you get from a 27 first to a 28 first? But otherwise the value's even. Like you're good. It's not a bad deal. Let's go with Thobaika. Make FF great again. I think it's already pretty great. I think it's already pretty great. Looking at the values on this one, are we sending Baker Mayfield for a 27 random first? That's typically the price. Could you get more for a 27 first? Let's see, you have a 27 first with this team. And all right, let's discuss this trade in like just value. Would I send a 27 first for Baker if I couldn't get any other quarterback that I might like higher than that, like a Purdy? I might rank a little bit higher in trade value, future value than a Baker. This is happening plenty of times. The market is in on this. I think this is a fine deal. With your team, would I do it? You've got Mendoza, you've got Stroud, Tua, and Aaron Rodgers. No. I don't see the clear and pressing need to do that. We've got Mendoza, Stroud, Tua, Rodgers. Your team has Gibbs, Genty, like we're good at running back, wide receivers, London, Thomas, Michael Wilson, Christian Watson. Like that could contend. Tight end Kyle Pitts. If I'm doing anything with my quarterbacks, I'm probably taking this 27 first and up tiering from a different one from the quarterbacks that you have rather than bringing in a third option to go for it. Unless you're then doing a follow-up deal to move on from Mendoza and turn that value somewhere else. Would I be looking to do this? Not quite. The value's fine. But does this get you that much further ahead towards contending? Not really. And it just puts not a ton further ahead. Would I rather start Baker than Stroud? Yeah. But then I'm just having Stroud on my bench. And does it push me over the edge to a championship? I don't think so. I'm going to call it an even trade, but it's not one I would do. Ethan, did we go through yours? Lovejoy, are you 44? Ethan, 44? I'm not sure which Ethan you are. Is this Ethan 44 from the league I'm in? We're getting close. Here's a deal. Are we doing Genty for McCaffrey and Marvin Harrison? It's a 14-team, 1 quarterback from Hughes Nick 3. Ooh. Am I sending Genty for McCaffrey and Harrison? Or would I send McCaffrey and Harrison for Genty? I like it in the reverse. Just saying that, going with my gut, I definitely liked the reverse. If you check out the roster here, McCaffrey is the 3rd most valuable running back, might be the top scoring of the team. What do we got? We got Jeremiah Love, James Cook, Christian McCaffrey, but we're moving on from McCaffrey, sending away Marvin Harrison, the 4th receiver on this team, a team that has receivers, Lamb, Pickens, McConkey, then Marv, then Zay Flowers after that, and we get Genty. This does just kind of stabilize your value. Are we paying enough? No, I think this is a fine deal. If you want to go get Genty, I think you go get him. It fits the team. It's not a massive overpay. I think it's a good price. I think it's a good price. Does that get us to Ethan's? We got Mays, Stretchy Silver, then Ethan. Let's cruise through some of these. What's the deal here? Drake May in a 12-team Superflex, start 10, PPR, half-point tight end premium. Are we moving Drake May? Let's see. You bought Drake May from a rebuilding team to pair with Jalen Hurts. You won the championship last season, trying to repeat while getting a little younger. You were then able to move Trevor Lawrence for Amon-Ra St. Brown. Looking at the team, you have Drake May. We moved the 104, a 27 first, a second, and Rico Dowdle for Drake May. I think this is a fine deal. I think this is a good price. 104, it's a really good receiver. What are we looking at? Like Mekhi Lemon? So is this Lemon a first, a second, and Dowdle for Drake May? I think we're is there anyone here who is not taking the Drake May side? Got a comment from Natty, Gibbs or Bijan? Dude, I think if you're in redraft and you're asking between Gibbs and Bijan, we have covered the concept of just like, it's just kind of a wasted thought. You just take the one that's there. No one can tell you who's better, Gibbs or Bijan. If someone is telling you they know Gibbs is better than Bijan, like maybe you pivot off of that guy because we just don't know. And that's not a great way to it's not like that great of advice to go off of. Let's take, am I missing things? I know some have been popped up as pinned comments. If I've missed anything, repin it and we'll hit it after this trade question. We got a big one from Stretchy Silver. It's a 10-team, 1 quarterback, start 8, and it's big. Let's break it down. We got Brock Bowers, Rashee Rice, Trevion Henderson, DK Metcalf, Amon-Ra St. Brown. We're just trading teams. 4. CeeDee Lamb, Drake London, Colston Loveland, a first, and a 3rd. These are far future firsts, a 28 and a 29. Which side of this deal are you, Stretchy? You have Brock Bowers. Is there a reason to bring in all of these firsts? How are we feeling on this? Like Loveland and a first for Bowers. There is a tight end premium. Loveland and a 28 for Bowers. I think we might, for the sake of getting where we want to go, do we call that fair? Sure. We may then go, is this just, oh, no. Okay. Amon-Ra's in this deal. Amon-Ra. Okay. I think, are we staying on the Brock Bowers side? We're staying on the Brock Bowers side. Let's try, can we break it into smaller chunks? Is there a reason to pivot here? Stretchy Silver, I'm not a huge fan of the offer for my team. The guy wants Bowers, but I don't know if this is the way to do it. I don't often go this big on a trade. If he wants Bowers, this feels like one of those where you guys opened up a trade calculator and kept going, well, we got to add one thing to this side and then another thing to this side, and then that gets us a little closer. But then if we add these two players, it gets us even closer. Is this a move to make? If he wants Bowers, you'd be sending away. I think with this deal, are you in a heavily trading league where if you're bringing in these extra firsts, you can then go do things with them? Because the team you have can likely contend. Like Joe Burrow, really good. Jeremiah Love, Trevion Henderson, Kyron Williams, good to go. Jamar Chase, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Rashee Rice, Luther Burden. Like this guy wants Brock Bowers because he's the best tight end. Do I see this as a massive value slam dunk to swap? I don't know. Like, I like Loveland. Do we want to go? Do you want to just get off of Rashee Rice? I don't know that your team needs to. Are we really getting? You're going to lose out on some running backs. I don't see the thing. Notes from you. I know like projecting multiple first years away, but odds are pretty good that they won't be early given the team that they're from and the rest of the teams in the league. It's kind of a super team. If you don't feel like these are early firsts, man, I think your team's contending. Do you not feel like your team is contending? Or do you know your league that you could then take these firsts and turn them into other players? I don't know that this is one that I'm doing. I think I'm looking at it and saying, you're just building work for me. Like you're just making work for me and you get Brock Bowers, the guy you want. That's kind of where I'm at on this one. I think I wouldn't really. I'm trying to find any reason to swap this. Maybe just because you're moving DK Metcalf and you're coming away with something different, but I don't know. I'm not. I'm staying with Bowers here. I don't see the vision. I'm staying with Bowers. If he wants Brock Bowers, we come up with a different deal for it. Looking at Ethan. In a 12-team Superflex start 9, on one side we got JSN, on the other side Derrick Henry. Or on one side we have JSN and Derrick Henry, on the other side Justin Jefferson, Cam Scatterbo. We've got, which side of this deal are you? Youngest and most turned Ethan. Do I see JSN or Justin Jefferson on here? I think you said you needed to swap the thing. Did you resubmit this as? Yeah, you did. I think you had said you had submitted the wrong league. You sent another. Here it is. I'm in this league. Is this a trade involving me? I think it's the JSN side. Is this a trade involving me? You have JSN. Derrick Henry's in the deal. Are you trying to just get younger by moving Derrick Henry? Looking at what do we accomplish here? Maybe we're looking at the upside of Justin Jefferson. This feels like a trade where the value is just on the JSN and Derrick Henry side. If we want to call our shots on players and say you want to get out on Derrick Henry and you feel like the wheels could fall out easily for your team. I mean, I'm in this league. I would love if the wheels fell out from your team, but in the advice that I would give, you could get more. You could get more. The value here, like JSN, just more valuable than Justin Jefferson right now by a notable amount. Derrick Henry, not as valuable as Cam Scatterbo, but it's not that far off. The difference is just like, I think this is just a clear value on the JSN side to the point where you're getting a second round pick or more on top of the Justin Jefferson side to get it to fair. If Justin Jefferson has a full bounce back, we could be looking at this in a couple months and saying, yeah, that was the way to go. But in July, I care a bit more about like, what's the market? What can I do? Does this free me up for a different follow-up deal? And I think you just lose value here on this pivot. It's not one that I would do. But I also don't remember what my team looks like in that league. Am I the Justin Jefferson side? I don't think I am. Let's go with, we got Jay Murrell. We'll clear out the queue. We're at 246. I think we're going to get through the trade queue within the 3 hours. In this deal, are we doing Ramondre Stevenson or a 27-second? I mean, I did a video today and said the value of a 27-second is right in line with Ramondre Stevenson. Am I sending a 27-second for Ramondre with this team? Looking at your team, you've got Ken Walker, Christian McCaffrey, Krusky Merritt. You're projecting your own second here. You're trying to bring what I'm reading into on this deal from the franchise for Jay Morrell. If I'm sending my own second, would I do it for just Ramondre to contend this year? I might look at other players. Could I get David Montgomery for this second? For a team that we're trying to get a third running back, I'd say take your second and pair it with Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, because you probably come away with a better running back than Ramondre Stevenson. And I would look at something like that to fill it out, unless we're really looking at this and saying that we needed to get to, and actually I skipped over the scoring. It's a 12-team, one quarterback starts 7. I don't know that I'm sending my second for Ramondre. We got Ken Walker. We got Christian McCaffrey. I don't know that Ramondre is going to be a difference maker if we have to start 7 players. He'll sometimes be a flex for us. He'd fill in for bye weeks. I mean, the second round pick's not that valuable. I would much rather pair it with something else and come away with a better running back. Pair a second with Michael Pittman on this team and get a better running back. The value in a 12 by 10 is fair. I think I would be saying, let's get more. Like, it's even value, but like, pair that, I'm going to type in the notes. Pair this second with another player and get a higher tier running back. Let's go. We got 3 in the queue. I'm running out of words. Voice is starting to get hoarse. Is this one going to pop up for you guys? This should be popping up and changing. There it goes. Hussey. Am I saying that right? Hussey? In the fellas, it's a 12-team Superflex start 9. Trevion Henderson in a 27-second or Garrett Wilson. We'd be moving Wilson for Henderson in the second. I like Henderson to bounce back. Or not even bounce back. I like Henderson to recoup value. We're just talking about Ramondre Stevenson. Anytime I post a video about about Trevion Henderson, I get comments saying like Henderson doesn't know how to hit the hole or doesn't know how to block. And what I hear is, or he didn't know the playbook. What I hear is that's what rookies do. Trevion Henderson showed rookie problems. Running backs not being great at blocking, like that's what gets fixed in their rookie season, throughout their rookie season and into their second season. So it wouldn't surprise me if we saw a value rise in Trevion Henderson this year. Looking at this I think this isn't a bad deal. This is an okay move. Looking at this roster, would I move from wide receiver where you have Malik Neighbors, Garrett Wilson, Brian Thomas, Matthew Golden, and we're looking for a second running back? If we're trying to get a running back, well, you have the 2026 first overall pick. We're just taking Jeremiah Love. We don't need the running back that much. And then you have the second overall pick where you're taking Tate. I don't know that I would do this move for this team. moving on from running back. If you're not a believer in Garrett Wilson, I don't think it's, is this a move I would go out of my way to build on my own? Not really. Would I think it was a bad move for you for the makeup of your team? No, you're going to end up with a team that has Jaden Daniels, Bryce Young at your quarterbacks, Hampton and Jeremiah Love as your top running backs. And then wide receivers, you'd go from Neighbors and Wilson to Neighbors and Tate. And then we're just kind of adding, looking at this and saying, do we have Garrett Wilson or do we have Trevion Henderson? I like the value on both. I like the value on, I like the options of, I like both sides evenly. So do you need to do it? No. If you did it, would I say you were wrong? No. If you want to do it, go for it. But I don't see the need. I don't see the roster need to make a swap in either direction. And unless I thought I could then take that second and convert it into my roster in a different spot, up tier somewhere else with that second, I may just stay with Garrett Wilson. But really, this is probably the one that of the night where I have felt the least conviction on either side. I just like both sides. They both fit the team that you have. Let's go with Jay Dorr. And sometimes that is the answer on a trade. Like, we don't know. One side might win this, but we don't know that. And does it fit your team? No, neither way. What are we doing here with Jay Dorr? Ashton Genty or Jadarian Price in a 27 first? I like Genty. You have Genty. Would I move Genty to get to a first to bring in Jadarian Price? I'm looking at the team here. It's a 14 team, 1 quarterback, start 8. I'm guessing we're trying to rebuild towards 2027. I don't know that Genty for a 27 first, bringing in Jadarian Price is the spot I would go to. And if we're moving Genty just to split him with this roster, like you got to be moving like Wandale or adding something else into this. If this is a rebuilding trade, I don't take 1-for-2 splits and bring in the worst asset. Like the value here, probably not that like swimmingly in your favor. 27 firsts aren't really, this might sound like a dumb thing, but the hype on the 2027 draft class has them already at like really high value. Are they going to be clear value risers throughout the year? Not really. They're already really highly thought of compared to past seasons 1 year out. So is this is this a roster where I could see myself rebuilding? Yeah. Is this a move that I would make to do it? No, it's not accomplishing enough for my rebuild. If I'm rebuilding and I have a team that has Jalen McMillan, I got to get rid of that guy in one of these deals for good value. If I've got this team, I got to move on from like Brenton Strange in one of these trades. I got to get value for Travis Kelce. I got to get value for, honestly, I might try to get value for Jonah Coleman. I'm not a big believer on him. You may be. I got to get value for Wandale. He's probably, if I'm trying to rebuild, if you're not contending this year, I'm not viewing Wandale Robinson as an asset that's for sure going to be on my contending roster. So we got to get him out of here. And the more that we split Genty, or the more of these good assets that we have and trade them away without packaging these harder to move, these lower tradability assets, I think we're just missing opportunities. So I would stay with Genty and look for doing another deal. And it's probably going to be something you just have to do a lot of the work on. If you want to rebuild your team well, you just got to drive all the trade conversations. This feels like a deal where you put Genty on the bench and someone sent you this because it helps their team a lot and doesn't help your team as much as it could. We've got, refreshing it, the final one in the queue. 255. Let's go through this final one. Coolio, thank you. Everyone, shout out to the Friendly Exchange who's been in here. Like, I think we've had a notably better stream with Friendly Exchange coming in and doing some mods during the setup. So if you're in here, he's been modding for us. Give him a shout out. Send him some love. The show goes better if he's here. Thank you very much. Let's talk about this trade. We got Dusty Demise, 12-team Superflex Start 11. It's deep. It's deep. What are we doing with this deal? Am I sending J.K. Dobbins, Alec Pearson, Daniel Jones for Christian McCaffrey? You could get more. I think you could get more here. It's a 12-team Superflex Start 11. I think you can get more. I don't know. I mean, if we're including J.K. Dobbins, I like J.K. Dobbins in a Start 11. Is that the difference maker? It's probably like Alec Pearson, Daniel Jones gets you to Christian McCaffrey. You get more value on these deeper assets in a Start 11 where J.K. Dobbins probably produces decently for you. Would I hate it if you paid this much over to get CMC? No. And for the team that you have, actually, as I'm looking at it, you can take a look on the screen here on the Twitch and YouTube. Are we just building out a super roster? We're doing some condensing of assets here. At a Start 11, having Alec Pierce as wide receiver 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on your team, this is a spot where I'd say, yeah, let's just pay up. Let's just pay up. Yeah, maybe you could ask for more, but this is fine. I'm going to mark it as even because I'm telling you it's okay for the team that you have. But I think you could get 2/4 thrown in on the McCaffrey side just to even out value. I think you could ask for that and get it accepted right away. But also, does 2/4 make a difference? Sometimes you just want the trade to go through. I don't think it's that far off. That closes out the trade queue. We don't have any more in the team review queue. We will be back. Let's shout this out. If you have questions that did not get covered, you can submit them. It shows that up right here on your screen. We put them in on our website. That is how we build out these overlays. If you're on the TikTok feed where it shows the trade and it shows the league scoring, which makes a massive difference in the value of these deals, that is how we do it. It's because the trades go through our website. It also builds out our queue. If you're on TikTok, you can't see the queue, but if you're on Twitch and YouTube, we have a scrolling queue that just shows your spot in the list of trades that we're going to cover. We do that because they're all submitted through our website. It allows us to see your full roster to grade. Does this trade make sense in a vacuum? And does it make sense for the team that you actually have? Some trades make sense on value, but then just don't make sense for the team that you have. And we talk about it. That is because they're submitted at our website. So check that out on there. We got the follow from Money Mitch on TikTok. Thank you very much. We're going to wrap it up here. We went for just under 3 hours. We're at 2 minutes, 59 seconds and 2 hours, 59 minutes and 21 seconds. And we're fading fast mentally. We're already a moron. And now I'm completely spent. Thank you guys for being with us. We will be back on Wednesday to cover the queue. Then if you have questions, get them submitted and submitting them now. We'll get you as the first one done on the show. Thank you very much. Friendly Exchange with the added on. Hey, follow and turn on notifications so don't miss any of the shows. It's not going to hurt. It's not going to hurt. Thank you very much, guys. We will shut it down there. Take care, guys. I need to add in a stream ending thing so I can just press the button to hit the stream ending rather